on Easter Monday, and then they were down by the Blues last Sunday. It was a bit of an upset, and they will look to bounce back tonight. And they take on the Pies. It won't be easy, as we know the Magpies are on top of the ladder. Mark Howard, but it's just a glorious night. A big night in the nation, we know that, but I think the contest that really matters, for us anyway, is here at the MCG.
Never a truer word. Collingwood, after dropping that first game against the Giants, they've won the next 6, sit nicely on top. Look at that percentage. They've been hard to score against the Cats, coming off a loss last week against the Blues. They're 4-3. Mitch Duncan comes back in for his first game of the year. Will Hoskin Elliott and Ollie Witcher, the boy from Barwon Heads, are the two subs. Magnificent day in Melbourne, expecting 80,000 here. So much to look forward to, including Mitch Duncan returning, Bailey Smith, and the veterans of a Anzac Day medal still signed by him alongside his great mate Scott Pendlebury.
Just been extraordinary, the rejuvenation, not just of Steele Sidebottom, which I don't think anyone would have expected that he could be equal leader in the coaches' votes with Nick Dacos. But really all those experienced Magpie players, as we see Sidebottom winding back the clock. Pendlebury, of course, has never really dropped off, although he was a sub. So coming into the year, the plan really was to manage his minutes and his output, and that might be the case down the track. I think it was with Steele as well, but they've just played so well that they haven't so far really been needed to manage. And you throw someone like Jamie Elliott into that, who's also, in terms of an output of goals, he's back to 4 or 5 years ago. They've got a couple of young players that are handy, led by this guy in Nick Dacos.
Incredible record the young man has. Jason Dunstall and Gary Lyon have made their way upstairs. Love what you were talking about Jack Crisp, Gary, and he's taking him an incredible 10 years and 237 days to compile this record, which is 21 days less than your great mate Jim Styles.
Is it? I wasn't aware of that, but he, as I said, he deserves all the plaudits that have come his way this week, and he's clearly someone who spends an enormous amount of time on getting himself right. The professionalism must be extreme.
See, Adamuse wasn't too far behind either. Did they not train hard down at Melbourne back then?
Oh, yeah, bring that up to Jack Titus next time. He won't be that praise.
Two captains in the middle.
Darcy Moore back tonight, so back as the skipper.
Thanks, man.
And he really loves the role. You can see how passionate he is about the Magpies. I feel like he's really appreciated that more as he's got older, with all the heritage at Collingwood. Downstairs for us with a bit of heritage with one of these teams, but very much objective tonight is Cameron Mooney. Welcome in, Moons.
Thank you very much, Hutto. Yeah, talk about electricity down here, boys. This is amazing. It's Saturday night, the MCG, two of the big clubs in the competition, and you've spoken about before, Hutto. These guys go back a long way from prelims to grand finals from 07 onwards. They really do put on an amazing show. But for tonight, well, who are we going to get a couple of matchups from both teams? So we're talking about Dangerfield. Who goes to him tonight? This is going to be the big one from a Collingwood point of view. I'd love to see Maynard take him on if he's playing forward. We know he's been playing there majority of the night. So that's a matchup I'm really dying to see tonight. Two big bulls going at it. Both very good in the air, both very good on the ground. And of course, they'll both butt heads or not. That'll be fantastic. And of course, from Geelong, well, who takes this man? Nick Dacos. A lot of talk this week about who's going to run with him. Don't be surprised if a couple of the Irish boys get the job tonight, boys. These boys know how to run. Oisin Mullen in particular can run all day. I wouldn't be surprised if he goes to, if not him, O'Connor. Boys, electricity down here is incredible. Cannot wait, Hutto.
I don't know if Cameron's got some inside word, but Oisin Mullen is in the centre square right now. So he's in there with Bailey Smith. Tommy Atkins, who's been outstanding for this Geelong footy club as well. So that might be a little heads up right there. This is a big game, boys. These are heavyweight footy clubs. There it is. Mullen and Dacos, Jace.
I suspect Mears knew exactly what he was talking about when he hinted that could be the matchup. That's going to be just one to keep an eye on.
The two skippers reacquaint themselves having tossed the coin. Here we go, boys.
Super Saturday on Fox. Collingwood top of the ladder taking on the Cats. Stanley and Cameron set to meet Bailey Smith. He's right in there and he's got Long beside him. Away we go. Perfect night for football. Dacos crunched by a couple of Cats early. Crushed a second time as well.
You can see the aggression early from the Cats.
There's Mullen right beside him. Cameron does well. Down towards Long. Smith got him covered.
So Max Holmes off half-back, so he's got the goey right now, but he'll also work up around the footy.
Atkins trying to get away from the side bottom. Coming back is Manor. Smith. They work it forward. Mullen Driving ball deep. Good contest, and Neil floats back and takes a strong mark above his head.
Great hands, a great effort from O'Shea Mullen, who then goes immediately and just bumps himself into Nick Dacos, lets him know he's around. He just got the clearance on him. That's the perfect start for that matchup.
That's a great win. Gee, you're asking a lot of O'Shea Mullen. This is, arguably our the best football that we can produce, and a bloke from Ireland who's only been here 5 minutes is asking to quell him. It'll be fascinating.
5 goals for the season for the big number 33. For the opener on Saturday night. Pops it home, great start the Cats.
O'Shea Mullen was compared by Zach Tui to Nick Dacos. He called him the Nick Dacos of Ireland last year or a couple of years ago before he came out. So not a bad comparison there. We'll get to see whether that's true or not. When these sides met last time, the Cats kicked the first 3 goals in about 3 minutes. And Shannon Neal was one of those. Look at that.
That double tackle on Nick Dacos, I think Chris Scott's fired them up. He was really disappointed with that performance last week. I reckon he's got them wound up, and they're here to make a physical statement.
I've been a touch disappointed with your question about the late change as well, Gary, to be fair.
He loved it.
No, he did not.
I'm sure he did.
I'm pretty sure he did.
Goalless the last 2 weeks, Shannon Neal. Just the 4 touches against Carlton, so that'll boost his confidence up against Big Billy Frampton down in the goal square at the City end. Cats with the opener. Cameron and Stanley. Cameron protected the drop beautifully. Long couldn't grab it, so Atkins went to work. To Bailey Smith, all the way up. Brett Roseberry. Should have been like Peter Carey and taken the back. Off half back. Houston steady with Maynard. And out to Lipinski. Got a skidder and it's over the line.
Not often you get a Chris Scott come out. There's the umpire copying one right here in the melon, if you don't mind. Not often you get Chris Scott so outspoken about his team post-game. You'd expect a response, and they do look fired up early.
They're set again on the throw-in. Very short one. Stanley knocking it down. Long when an impact is made. He takes the territory. Awkward from Myercheck. Holmes, though, slung at the last minute and couldn't control the handball. So, little Humphries here. Be happy with the neutral result.
Aggressive tackle from Memory. Coming out of his attacking 50. Smith doesn't have anyone on him now. Lipinski arrives to put an arm across him. Skipped out the back. Side bottom goes off the ground. Bailey Smith tries to get a clear possession. Side bottom giving him no room. Out the back, Humphries. Now passes out the close in the long sleeves as per usual. High floating ball down towards Quaynor. Got hands to it. Spoil in the end comes from Big Reece Stanley.
Getting a little bit of a mixed match with the boys down here down the back line at Collingwood, with Moore now going on to Jeremy Cameron. Started the game on Dangerfield. Now Maynard's finally gone onto Dangerfield, so that's the matchup we're hoping for.
Yeah, it'll be great to watch through the night. Jeremy Cameron has kicked a 7 and a 6 against Collingwood in the last few years. Bobby Hill. Hands slick. Lipinski, it's a low ball, very offable. As Duconi gets across and takes an intercept mark. That's for the new categories. It's out cold with a poor entry into your 50.
Watching Max Holmes and DeGoey is fascinating. Holmes is just ready to go, and DeGoey's trying to get out the back at every opportunity.
Footy keeps finding Lipinski. He's going to turn on his left, but he had a little more time. And he finds side bottom. Cheers from the Collingwood fans, and even more so now as he delivers to Membry. It was excellent last week.
O'Sullivan with Myercheck. O'Sullivan's intercept work last week was sensational. Big job on Brodie Myercheck.
He just had the 6 disposals last week, but 5 of them were part of scores. Kicked 2 goals down towards Elliott, also Myercheck. Both were flyers. Holmes just hesitated, realised there was a way through. McCreary brings the muscle, and Holmes on the job.
Near with the opener. Wiltshire and Hoskinelli at the subs. O'Connor takes on 2 tacklers. Got a problem down there now.
That was a decision for the umpire, wasn't it? Particularly after he broke out of that first tackle, I thought the second one would be rewarded.
Cameron wanting front possession. Holmes keeps it in front of himself.
Yeah, that's a raffle at the moment. He's holding the ball for opportunity, so I think he's very, very fortunate there myself. But This is what Collingwood have been doing in recent times. Their forward pressure is elite. Works so hard to keep it in here. Build pressure, score.
Cameron again trying to get in front. And he's worked his way into that position and got the free kick.
Yeah, that's what drew it, Howie. He had front spot and the throw-in just fell a little short. And Reece Stanley had to retard him, had to pull him back towards him to catch up to make the spoil. Umpire saw it. Now an opportunity for the Pies to answer.
One game as a Sydney Swan. Hang on to the replay. And 102 now as a Pie. Darcy Cameron having a fine season. Just one goal to date in 2025. Keeps it pretty low. Bangs on the post.
He kicked that one goal last week. It's normally pretty good for a ruckman in terms of hitting the scoreboard. So footy back with Max Holmes. Keeps it as short as what was on offer to Bailey Smith in the back pocket. So the Cats on a slow play. Smith likes the pace, hectic, goes long. Shannon Neal can provide the aerial. At the back, Dempsey. Started on the bench, but he's out there now. Licked up with Stengel, floats it down to Dangerfield. Billy Frampton came across on his knees. Dangerfield, so just slowed him a moment. And now he charges off in his usual manner. It was a little bit of a reckless kick. And the mark is taken by Scotty Pendlebury.
In game 411 for the Collingwood champion. This is a short ball.
It's very disinclined to come from a corridor from the back half here. They've been a boundary side for defensive 50 all year.
Houston follows that path. Let's kick it straight to DeConey.
They set up for that, Howie. They know that they don't want to pick the corridor off early.
Good strong mark, a positive start from Neil. Wants to wheel around immediately. Just tries to lay it into the path of Cameron. Favours Quaynor in the end. Needs to kill the footy and eventually does.
Yeah, it was a kick that did no favours. He puts the hand up to apologise, but he's got the sticky fingers early, Shannon Neal. That's a couple of great marks. Two good contested marks.
Quaynor was Cameron's opponent last time these sides met when Cameron was playing up the ground a fair bit. Kicked 3 goals, 3. Gets involved in the chain here. And the outward bound. Lockie Schultz, an important play. He's in stellar form before he got injured. Head pass forward to Chris, the marathon man. Kicks to half forward. And as always, consistent to Membry. Thumping ball at the back hill. Up early was Elliott. He's almost dragged it down. It's a free kick though. Going against him.
Looking for a push. I don't think Jamie Elliott can be, although he was last week involved in an unrealistic attempt.
Bowes waited till Holmes arrived so they can make the most out of this play on the way out. Trying to protect it, so Dempsey marks, darts down to Cameron. Moore arrives in time to spoil perfectly for Stengel. Cats open everywhere. Ollie Henry, the former Pie, saw his teammate, and it's blitz arms. He will literally pop up anywhere on the field, and he loves being in the goal square and ramming that through. First 2 to the Cats.
This is football's most adaptable man, Mark Blitzarves, and he and Stanley have already been playing some games in the ruck, and they push forward. Stanley drops back into the hole. Blitzarves will then go and ruck. Then he'll bob up on the centre wing. But what he has got is the capacity to work from one end of the ground to the other, and it can cause a bit of confusion. And that's why, if you're sitting at home saying, how does Mark Blitzarves find himself inside the goal square on his own, is because he's played probably 3 positions in the first 5 minutes. He's out on centre wing now, Mark Blitzarves. So when it works like this, and this is why people, opposition coaches often say, coaching against Geelong is the hardest job. You're not exactly sure where this man's going to be, and that would indicate exactly that last week against Carlton.
It was a high press from the Pies and a really important crumb from Stengel after Darcy Moore had gotten over and made the spoil. He kept it alive with a great crumb.
Cox 1 of 3 ends alongside Moore and Schultz. Bowes needs to hand that back. He's done for a throw. Houston's trying to get off long for the hand pass, but back and across to Maynard in the blue boots. Left foot piercing ball. He's turned it straight over, coming off the line. And good to see Mitch Duncan after an extended spell in the VFL get his opportunity. Into the path of Stengel. Bailey Smith runs onto it. King of Meters gain. Goes all the way. Bailey Smith! Why wouldn't he? Cats have got only 3.
He heard the skipper, guys. He knew what he was doing.
He had to kick the goal, Mooney, because Patrick Dangerfield sitting there with his arms spread, saying, I'm on my own. But if anyone in this side's going to have the confidence to say, nah, just sit there, Patrick, I've got this.
Did you reckon he saw it? Because
If he didn't, he's got a problem. What a great intercept. Mitch Duncan back into the
Great to
side.
see him back.
Been really aggressive off half-back, and Chris Scott told us that he's in for ball use. There's danger right there. So Bailey Smith can't see Patrick Dangerfield there. He's got tunnel vision, Hutto, but he kicked the goal, and
I
that's the
think
main
he's
thing.
got tunnel vision, Gaz.
Hey, they made a statement earlier, haven't they? 3 early goals, the Cats. Nick Dacos yet to have a touch. This has been the perfect start from a Geelong perspective.
Spot on and close, and as we've seen so often, Close and Steng will get really high up the ground, hit back really hard the other way. It's a bit of a handful for the Pies right now.
Just one kick between the Dacos boys so far. So as last time they met, Geelong have kicked the first 3 goals. Mullen tough enough to escape 2. And Shannon Neal, what a vibrant start from him. Down to Cameron, took 2 to bring the ball to the front. Stengel threatening underneath, waiting, handball to Holmes. And he's spent the majority of the game in the back half thus far. And here he is being taken to ground at half full.
Well, the Mullen matchup's working beautifully. He's getting centre bounce clearances now. Manor on Josh Dacos is the other one. It's a big matchup.
Nick does fight back here with a handball off to Cox. Hard for Membry to contain. Schultz came with a rush. Up against him O'Sullivan, who was superb last week. Duncan, only 3 games after tonight away from his 300th game. Tough for Clark, well done Perryman. Gets it to side bottom. Unusual side off the left booters. Sends that one almost into the crowd.
So cash in now while you can. Collingwood kicking at 53% right now due to the pressure that Geelong have been able to bring. So still side bottom, kicking the ball out of bounds and the full doesn't happen often. So under pressure, the Pies early.
Gee, Connor O'Sullivan's an impressive young player. He's playing his 9th game, but he plays with a maturity. The way he uses his body and reads the play.
Big fly from Cameron. Cox stands up in the pack, taps the ball to his team's advantage. Nick Dacos to Josh Dacos. The brothers get involved. Normally means danger. And is Nick to Josh to Jamie.
Well, just look at that crumb from Josh Dacos in the back half. As I said, Sean Mannor's got responsibility for him, but as a forward, sometimes he thinks it's his right to go and crumb the footy. Well, he goes to crumb the footy, ends up in the hands of Nick Dacos, who then hands off to Josh. And that generally results in good news for Collingwood.
Been a good touch. 8th game, he's kicked 15 majors. Elliott just to calm things down for the Pies. Slides off the outside of the boot.
Well, they are an inaccurate team. And this is a team that's won 6 in a row. I think they're ranked 15th or 16th for accuracy. So if they start kicking straight, heaven help us, they're going to be impossible to beat. But they wouldn't want to miss too many like that tonight, given the way the Cats have started.
Elliott on 5 goals last week. Zach Guthrie. Nothing was really to his liking. Dempsey good in the air, gets to fly with help from Blitzarves. And underneath, with a wild handball forward. And now Guthrie comes out and keeps it in. No, he doesn't. The boundary umpire right on the spot.
Glass of water, Anthony. It's a big night.
Clearly. Over to you, Mark.
Neil Blitzarves and Smith. The goal kickers so far have jumped them, the Cats early. Cox and Blitzarves now he's in the ruck, showing you how valuable he is around the ground. Bobby Hill in a tight space. Marlon just eases him and the footy across the line.
Yeah, so he's come from this centre wing at that last ball up alley, and he's now on the other side of the ground playing in the ruck. He's an extraordinary football.
Pies would love to get Bobby Hill involved. It's a quiet start to the season.
Very durable. Rarely misses a game, Mark Blitzarves. Those are run back to Schultz, back in the side after the hamstring. And pass forward, clever tap. Here he is, Hill, with a check side. Bobby Hill on cue delivers.
Well, this is a man that they'd love to have at his very best because he makes things happen. He has the ability to hit the scoreboard. Played every game, had just 11 goals. Expect him to kick a couple a week on average. I think he's got to that level now as a small forward that's also capable in the air. This time he just gets ahead of his marker, and that's a good finish under pressure, being tackled. and the goal that Collingwood desperately needed just to get their teeth into the contest.
Nice flick on from Timmy Membry there. Gives great awareness of who's around him. They're just settled into it now, this Collingwood side, because they've been hunted here. So manager Josh Dacos, Bose is going to side bottom, and you've got Nick Dacos with O'Shea Mullins. So they've identified 3, and they said, right, we're coming after you here. You're on top of the ladder, you've won 6 on the bounce. You're not getting this your own way right now.
Cox versus Shannon Neal. He's bouncing around, trying to work out the right angle of approach. In fact, he doesn't even go up against Cox. Atkins. No one's made more tackles ever in the first 7 weeks of the competition than Atkins, but he turned the ball over. Josh Dacos gets involved a couple of times. The left boot lays up for DeGoey and also for Myercheck. Atkins got back there to reinforce the defence. Now Bose as they flow out. Zach Guthrie can have a bounce. He gave it to Smith. Not sure he's actually ready for it. Floated it back to Guthrie. Turnover seemed near, and it was. Although DeGoey had to flick it up cleverly to Lipinski. They just stay ahead of the danger. Perryman jabbed it on the boot and got Schultz. Membry's in the clear. Can they close the gap? No. Fast right grip from Tim Membry. Should go back. He wants 50, not going to get it.
They had numbers open everywhere. They had McCreary in the corridor, who he couldn't see, but he was able to find Membry in space. It's a real good patch for Collingwood. They're opening up the Cats through the middle of the ground when they get the opportunity.
302 career goals for Tim Membry. He averages 2.2 goals per game at the MCG, which is favourable compared to his overall career average of 1.55. So he loves this place, and at his age, he's loving every moment of the opportunities he's getting with the Magpies. Doesn't love hitting the post though. It's a couple of misses they wouldn't mind getting back.
They look dangerous when it gets into a bit of chaos footy. They back one another to win the contested ball, and then they're all there running hard in support, Collingwood. So they don't really want this in control. They want to shake it up a bit.
A couple of posters, 3 behind, some set shots early for the Pies. Good exit. Smith continues to run and gain metres to Dangerfield. Just burns them off to Bailey. Sends it down Cox with the spoil. Quainer at ground level. Just gets away from his man. Back to Stengel though. Dangerous inside 50. Sends it forward. Dempsey will come from behind. And take a big hanger over side bottom. And a big smile too. Why wouldn't you in front of 80,000?
I reckon Steele Sidebottom knew he was in trouble. He was sitting under that ball.
He even had a big smile after it. He knew he was there, James.
How good. This wingman that just runs deep and provides an aerial threat.
This is his 3rd mark for the game already, guys.
Dempsey for a 12th goal of the season. Big mark, easy goal.
Well, this is the Collingwood side, gentlemen, this year after they gave up 15 goals in the first round against the Giants. They've given up 6-10, 6-12, 7 and 10. So here we are at the 10 minutes to go. Have a look at this. That's the last thing you need at 34 years of age. Still side bottom to be standing under that, cop a knee in the head.
It's okay to say he had the sit goes. You've still got to time your run perfectly to pull this off. That is a great leap.
He's a great aerialist, too.
He's an excitement machine.
It's been the year of the almost marks too, hasn't it? The high marks. We've seen a few good ones held. Well, that is an absolute beauty.
Just sat on his head.
It's a basketballer's leap there, Chief.
Oh, how good.
So 4 goals in, 20 minutes against an opposition that just don't give up goals. This is a great start.
And that's his 12th goal for the year. For a wingman, his ability to win contested possession and hit the scoreboard has him rated elite. Speaking of the game's elite, Pendlebury gets it forward to Hill. Cats defence on alert, but not alert enough. Magnificent delivery from Bobby Hill, and along the loping strides of Mason Cox are on the end of it. All the plaudits go to little Bobby.
He started well, Bobby Hill, hasn't he? He's kicked the goal already, and that time Lawson Humphries, his opponent, just struggling with the agility, with the pace off the mark.
So Mason's just played the 2 games this year. Came in against the Bulldogs, kicked it behind. Was back for the Brisbane game a couple of weeks ago, kicked 2 behinds. Now he'd love to kick a goal here and now at the MCG. It's where he does his best work. Grew up as a young American, having no idea it even existed. But boy, he's loved some big moments, hasn't he, here since he's been here for almost a decade.
He has, but what he also does well for a big man is he leads particularly well. You'll see him here, middle of the corridor. You can see him there just reading the play. He sees Bobby and he's off. He knows Bobby Hill's got the speed to turn, give himself some space, and if he finds a little bit of space himself, he'll be on the end of it. It's a great turn and kick. And importantly, unlike a few of his teammates, Cox able to go back and finish.
So back to the centre bounce 4-1 at the moment in favour of the Magpies. So they have enjoyed a really good last 5 minutes or so. The Dempsey mark punctuated the Hill and Cox goals, but they've just found their feet here, the Magpies.
So they draw it back to a 10-point margin after giving up the first 3 goals, the Pies.
They've kicked their 2 goals from stoppage, and Geelong have kicked their 3 from turnover. They struggled to score from turnover last week, Geelong, in a big way, so they'll be pleased with that.
Again, in that front position. Here comes Nick. Loops through out to Pendlebury. Waits on the left. Out to Chris, the record breaker. Sends it inside. Cox is again the target. De Goey elected to stay down. His man went up. A good mark. Go back to Holmes.
Challenging kick, and Clark had the spoil in the end. Hasn't lost his reflexes, Mitch Duncan, but maybe he's lost a bit of his kicking prowess. We'll forgive him for that. Collingwood fans are in a very forgiving mood. He was the sub in the 2011 Premiership against Collingwood, Mitch Duncan. Came on, kicked a goal, and has had a wonderful career and is nearing a huge milestone. He's played some good footy in the VFL and probably need his dash off half back. Side bottom, into the pocket. Big numbers there. Big bodies as well. One of them is Cameron. Has he put that together? Oh, he has! Don't ask me how!
Defied logic that, and it's a ruckman too, Jason. And they generally play tricks with footy.
Don't ask Chris either.
It defies all sorts of logic. We'll have to have another look at it. But one part of the game that they've got working well, 5-1 centre bounce. So Geelong have been 13 centre bounce clearance differential. Here's the goal. That's left foot outside of the banana kick. Off a step. Sure he'll do that ever again in what's been a really great career, Darcy Cameron. So one step, bang, left foot, bang, straight through.
It's living up to its billing at the moment, isn't it? We knew it was going to be a heavyweight clash tonight. 4 goals to 3. It's been a great beginning, a great opening quarter.
And Gaz, Patrick Dangerfield's been at the last couple of centre bounces, so the Cats recognising that's an area against Collingwood where they have had the edge at times in the past, and they need him right now.
Yeah, well, it's worked. It's worked so far. I don't know, I'll take that all day long.
Got Long beside him, standing over the top of Cameron. Here is the battle we're talking about. Dangerfield with strength, taps it back to his own advantage. Just touched the football like a few others. Below the knee, so the advantage goes away to the Pies. Dacos streaks away, sends it in the path of De Goey. O'Connor again, second intercept in the space of a minute and a half.
See, that's a great mark, isn't it? That's 5 intercept marks they've had to because they're 6-1 down now. Centre bounce clearance, it's an issue.
He's playing well, O'Connor. Same pressure on goals with his intercepts.
Yeah. The pressure on Humphries and Duncan, the kicking prowess. Can't afford to make an error with any of these, just the short stuff. Kind of goes back to Duncan and across to Humphries, who is a beautiful long kick. See if he can use that to advantage. Sullivan so far so good for the Cats. The lead has been cut to 4 though. Collingwood kicked the last 2 goals, indecision all over the face, but he comes away. Oh, that's off. Sponges it off the outside of the ball. Starting to feel it a bit, the Cats perhaps.
This is more like the Collingwood games that we've seen over the last 6 weeks. Really hard to move the footy against. They've kicked 3 of the last 4 goals, Collingwood. So it's just dried up a touch for the Cats.
Tell you what hasn't dried up is the grass down here, guys. It's really starting to get slippery. We just saw Perryman just slip over nothing. So it's starting to get a little bit dewy.
Gavin Mooney alongside Gary Lyon, Jason Dunstall, Anthony Hudson. Super Saturday on Fox. Electric start to this one. Cats with the first 3. Pies have narrowed it back to a 4-point margin. Side bottom looking for Cox again. Out the back though, Maya check. Just split the pack and we'll go back and line up.
Well, that's just superior judgment. He's marked that over Mason Cox, over Reece Stanley and over Zach Guthrie, who all got themselves under the footy, and he's taking the big mark over the top.
It's quite amazing, wasn't it, really?
To see them all get under the footy and he just hangs at the back, times his leap. takes it clean.
Round 4 against Carlton, kick 0-3. Rest of the year, 11 goals won for Myercheck. On the angle, hits it sweetly, turns to the crowd, little celebration, and Collingwood back in business and in front.
So here's the test, guys, for the Cats. They get a great start. We've kept Nick Dacos to just 4 possessions, and you're behind.
Clearance, Chief.
It's a challenge, isn't it?
Let's just go to the clearance numbers right now, and they're a big issue. It's 11-3 overall, but out of the middle it's 6-1. So that's a huge issue for Chris Scott and his football club, and they've worked their way back into the game by the clearance situation. So
We saw it all last night, Gary, didn't we?
Anthony, we did. Yes, we did. And look, it's full credit to the Magpies. They got jumped early in this game, gave up the first 3 goals of the match, held their nerve and went to work in an area that they have dominated in the past against the Cats, and now they're right on top.
Thought it was such a big occasion, I'd go with the formalities, Gaz, but back to 2 points. Concerns in the Geelong coaching box, as you saw. Stanley on the follow. Houston overruns it. Crispell out, Dacos in so he can flick it up to him, and he's off. The lefty into the middle, targets Jamie Elliott, causing havoc. Chris kept on running, and then guides to the goey. He pushed off, but he just couldn't quite get back to the footy.
They are owning the corridor when they get the opportunity. They're finding space. They're hitting little chip kicks into the middle, and they are creating great opportunities going forward.
13 inside 50s to 8 is their clearance dominance.
Very nervous right now at any stoppage, the Cats.
Dacos versus Mullen Long on this side, and here's to go with all his power and might. The handball back to Long. He's got through the first resistance. Nicely spotted by Dempsey. Slams it back to the middle. Frampton denies Stanley. Cameron came through, all a bit haphazard. And guess where the footy's going? Maynard to Houston. And back into the hands of Lipinski. Collingwood controlling it well. Down the line he had McCreary, but a couple lining up. One of them was Elliott. Was tempted to go to the middle to Dacos. Cameron is the hot hand at the moment. He's taken another mark inside 50. And have his 3rd shot for goal.
The other thing that's just become absolutely obvious is that Collingwood are denying Geelong any ball inside forward 50 in the last 10 minutes. Their ability to intercept the footy through the arcs has been off the chart. So the inside 50 count's now 14-8 in favour of Collingwood. So cut them off in between the 250-metre arcs and bang, hit back through the middle of the ground.
So 1 miss, 1 free goal. And another one that might not even score from Darcy Cameron. Kids looked a little bit confused there, but they got the result thereafter, and that's gone through for a minor score.
Yep, 9 of the last 10 inside 50s, Gaz. And what they are doing when they win that ball is they're using it particularly well. A lot of 30-metre kicks, finding loose players in pockets of space.
Humphries from fullback. Looks towards Dangerfield. Goes in that area now. Up against the ruckman. Good contest in the air. Dangerfield again just willing himself onto the football. His attack is extraordinary live here. Darcy Moore gets in front of Neil.
Again, Howie, stop them. Stop them between the arcs and go back the other way.
Maynard's got options forward of the footy. One of them is Lipinski. Looks to the corridor. Side bottom says no. Down the line. Points in that direction now. Patrick Lipinski pulls it into the pocket. Good attempt in the air by Guthrie. Nick Dacos. Underground hand pass only ends up with McCreary. Hacking ball.
There's only so long they can hold on back in defence. Look at that time in forward half-time. That's in the Magpies' favour. After the Cats jumped out with the first 3. 2 minutes 20 remaining. Geelong forwards haven't seen it for a while. Themselves in front of Cameron that time. McCreary made his move. Was he held without the football? Goes unwhistled and somehow wobbles through for another minor score. So that's 9 scores to 5. McCreary asking the question of the umpire. There's danger in the kick in, but this man's in stellar form.
Dempsey. Chain of hand pass to Bowes now, the former son. Quick transition down towards Neil. He's got more one-on-one. He's in good marking form. Big shout to Neil. His 3rd grab called to go. Doesn't have too many options. In a couple of minds off the instep. It does not work out at all well. And Perriman's there.
Not doing themselves any favours with some of their kicks going forward. He had Dangerfield short in the corridor. He was just too slow to react. Put himself under pressure. And that's another intercept mark for the Pies now.
Well, it's unfortunate for Neil. He's their one winner. Forward of the ball at the moment.
Maynard kept carefully to Frampton.
This is how well organised they are, this Collingwood Football Club. Number one scores points against from turnover in terms of the hardest team in the comp to score from turnover. So that's a good result here for the Cats. Just doesn't happen too often.
Took 4 intercept marks last week to Coney, and he is off. Sends it deep. They need a flyer, or they need strength underneath. Neil, and unlikely for that category. Look at Dangerfield marauding around, trying to win the footy. Handball went straight to Elliott. It's a blind handball. Dempsey took it, gave it. Cameron, dangerous from anywhere, even for a left footer from here, but Elliott refused to move. He couldn't bend to his will. Schultz, clearing kick, but doesn't clear at all. Holmes. Neil, right on the line, off hands, hits the behind post.
Good forward pressure though. Tyson Stengel was the one that chased down Josh Dacos. He looked like he was out, and they were out everywhere ahead of the ball, but Stengel just got an arm on him. The kick went to ground, and now they get a stoppage inside forward 50.
Rare inside 50 in the last 10 minutes for the Cats, who kicked the opening 3 whistle. It's against Stengel.
And they've gone to Stengel. Maynard went straight to him, so it's just off the ball.
Houston was holding his ribs afterwards.
Yeah, just a little whack low.
It opens up, set up back now Maynard, and a lot of space in front of him. Side bottom's ahead of the footy. He's going to have to beat the big boys side bottom. Trying to punch it forward, might work out to DeGoey. Looks for options back to side bottom. Now McCreary by hand. Lipinski, a little check side pass was clever, not quite to DeGoey. Holmes runs back to Coney. Now the Cats just working out of defence. Bailey Smith, a big goal in the opening turn. Oh, big fly and a good grab too by Ollie Henry. Immediately progresses it by foot. Cameron's out the back. Siren about to sound, doesn't want to play on.
All right, Patrick Dangerfield might have had word from the box there. He was the one telling them just to sit, and because Stengel was on in the goal square. So they dodged a bullet at the other end of the ground in that inside 50 there from Collingwood. They had players out everywhere. They just couldn't execute on this occasion, and now this would be right against the flow, and it'd have them go into quarter time in front.
665 career goals, 28th on the all-time list for the famous number 5. Cameron after the siren starts it out, doesn't draw it back. Let's have a look at the goal umpire. Looks like it's no score. They're having a discussion about it, so just hold your horses. Anti-climax going into quarter time.
Review underway.
We wait for the review.
Review complete. Looking at this angle, we see the ball's crossed the back of the behind line. Decision on the scoreboard.
So the Cats kicked the first 3. Collingwood replied. They lead at 4-5-29 to the Cats 4-2-26. Stick around after with Kath, Kingy and Jack as they take you through all the highlights and talking points from a big day's play. The Bulldogs and Port Adelaide from Ballarat. Big win for the Dogs. The fallout from Adelaide and Carlton at Adelaide Oval. Plus the big game here at the G, all capped off with our Jamison Crowd Pleasers segment.
This is the face of hunger.
All right, folks, welcome in quarter time here at the MCG between this cracking game between the mighty Magpies and the Geelong Cats. 4-5-29, the Maggies. 4-2-26, the Cats. Cameron having a shot after the siren, fading left, through for behind. I tell you what a cracking game this started as we can see, the Magpies going into this game. 149 favourite, the Cats 263 underdogs. Tell you what, it's not a bad price for the Geelong Cats. The Cats started off, I'll tell you what, they started off on fire there. I tell you what, when, let me just get back to where I'm looking at. Who was saying it? M. King, you were saying that the Geelong coach said there was no weakness in Collingwood. I'll tell you what, a little bit of weakness in Collingwood is when you can move the ball with speed. You can just open them up. I've seen that happen to them a few times, and they get a little bamboozled, flat-footed. But that being said, they've got to continue that, Geelong, because Collingwood hold that structure, their game plan, their process, and they kept that all the way through that quarter. And, of course, that's what got them back in the game. I like the way that this is it's a bit of a free-flowing game. There's a lot of speed in this game, I reckon, by the third quarter, fourth quarter. We're going to have some tired players. And I reckon it's going to come down to maybe a kick in this game. Just a kick. That's exactly right. I'll tell you what, though, it's nice when the speed's on from both teams. Both teams showed it. Geelong showed it. Collingwood showed it. When they took the ball out with speed, kept it moving, it just opened the forward line up. And there was plenty of space there for their targets, their forwards up there to take the mark. It was when the play slowed down a little bit. Both teams' defences got back there and they made it a little bit tougher. But I do like, if they can keep the speed on the speed in the game, I'm sure the Geelong coach should be saying that this is what I've got to do to break open Collingwood. We need to keep speed on the ball, keeping it moving. Don't slow the game down. We can open them up that way. I just want to have a little bit of a show for the ins and outs for the teams before, because I didn't get there. Darcy Moore comes in for Collingwood and Mason Cox, Lockie Schultz. 3 big ins, 3 big outs though. Jeremy Howe, Daniel McStay, Lachlan Sullivan going out for the Maggies. For the Cats, Mitch Duncan coming in, Tom Stewart going out, big out for the Catters right there. Player stats, just before I go in, I just want to say g'day to Ryan, Avery Rogue One, who's come into the chat, M. King, Megan, Adrian Sports Channel, Go Pies, Eddie G, Tino, the manager's in the house, Shouty, Fergus as well, and Mark, how you going? That was a long quarter, certainly was. It was about 31 minutes that quarter. Let me just have a quick. Let's just have a quick look at the disposals, which are most important there. Bailey Smith for Geelong tops the table with 9. Still side bottom, continuing on his merry way with 8. And Maxi Holmes with 8 also for the Cats. Next best is Braden Maynard. Lipinski for the Pies on 7. Dempsey, Sam de Koning on 7 also. Josh Dacos for anyone is on 6 disposals. Scotty Pendlebury on 5. Let's just roll down quickly. Nick Dacos, slow quarter, no impact in that quarter, which is dangerous for the Cats because I'm sure he'll come out firing at some stage. He just had the 5 possessions, 1 kick, 4 handballs, 2 tackles, 2 clearances. That being said, Paddy Dangerfield's been a little bit well held. He hasn't been able to exercise his skill at this present time. Just the 4 touches, 2 and 2 for Paddy Dangerfield. So I'm sure he'll get going at some stage. Good to see Bobby Hill with a goal on the board already for the Pies. Larry the Drone, how you going? Come on, Geelong. Good luck to the Cats. Larry, I'm a Pies supporter, but you know what? I just want to see a close game. Close game's a good game. Close game's an exciting game. I'll tell you what, we saw a specky from the Geelong player down there, and right in in the square when he kicked the goal. It was fantastic. Anyway, that's enough for me. Let's get back to the footy action. It's the Magpies by 3 points. We're going to bounce the ball in 30 seconds. Let's head back to the commentators.
Did love that Rye grin from steel side bottom after the mark had been taken by Ollie Dempsey out of the top, because he just felt the leg on the back of the head, and you hear a crowd roar. You know you've just been part of something, don't you?
Yes, I do. I can vouch. Great quarter of footy though. A chance for the Cats to go in the lead with Jeremy Cameron after siren would have been against the flow.
The Cats with the first 3. Collingwood respond to leader by 3 points at quarter time. High quality affair, and to be recalled.
One of the things you do with Oisin Mullen in the middle is you're sacrificing one of your avenues to clearances, aren't you? He had 1 early clearance. We see Dacos with 2. This is interesting.
Yeah, we've got an early sub down here already, guys. We're just trying to find out what it is with Reece standing. We'll get back to you, but Ollie Wilkshire into the game.
I'm not sure if it's if the injury is there, but the reality also is with Darcy Cameron rucked against Reece Stanley, the clearances were 8 zip in front of Collingwood. I doubt whether that would have been it, but
Manor out of the middle. Henry follows it into the square.
But he did have some dominance, Cameron, around Stanley, and the clearance situation changed. But I would imagine that would be...
He has been subbed out before half-time, but this would be very...
Yeah. So now it falls, the responsibility falls to Shannon Neal and Blitzarves, you would imagine.
And he's the one with sticky fingers in the forward line, Chief. So that's going to really hurt Geelong.
Beautifully seen, Maynard on a set play, tried to link up with Bobby Hill. Instead, O'Sullivan, the Cats trying to hit back the other way, but it's a slightly faulty kick, like close with the spurt was good. To Bailey Smith, he grubs it, so awkward for Dangerfield. Frampton was only a step away and he forces the error. Nick Dacos had time to almost do a 360 and he spots Scott Pendlebury in the middle of the ground, and that can spell danger. He's trying to orchestrate what's ahead. Brings in Schultz. Extra run from Houston, and up to the footy is Elliott, unmanned, wide at half forward. My check long, or he can swing it in. And he kept it low, and he hits the chest of Houston. He doesn't often get this far forward.
He doesn't need to be either. He doesn't have to get this close to kick a goal down Houston. So, not sure whether, well, let's give him the benefit of the doubt, whether that was the actual target of Jamie Elliott's. Yeah, it was. Or maybe it was so still, but it got there.
His 5th game at his new club. Wasn't a massive factor last week, 15 disposals, but he's going to be significant if Collingwood are going to be in the running for this year's flag. And who's to say they won't be? There's a serious weapon. Houston puts it through, and that makes 4 consecutive goals for the Magpies, and their lead is now 8 points.
They are punishing the Cats on turnover, and this has become a headache for Chris Scott. So they've got a great opportunity going forward. It's Bailey Smith who kicks a ground ball, a grubber that puts Dangerfield under pressure. He gets tackled, the ball spills out, and then they go bang. They punish them going the other way, and they are creating space through the middle of the ground. They're finding loose players everywhere. I think you're right, Gaz. He's probably looking at side bottom as he threw that one across the body, but the finish from Houston was absolutely beautiful.
Yeah, they're out everywhere too. Just, on the transition. So Nick Dacos gets the footy at half back, and all of a sudden there's Scott Pendlebury in the middle of the ground on his own.
Yeah, corridor's been an issue for the Cats. They're getting burnt through there on rebound.
Just quick one down here, guys. Left hamstring for Reece Stanley. That's why he's out.
Butcher, the sub, will come into the game earlier than he expected. Cameron goes off the ground to go. He picks it up cleanly. Back to Pendlebury. Sizes things up on his left. Centering ball to a dangerous area. Mychek through his hands. Was in best position. Elliott butters up at ground level. Mychek still in the contest. O'Connor applies the tackle.
So that's the issue with Max Holmes playing half back. He gets so aggressive off the back of the square that he goes charging in. They don't win the ball, and there's the go. He's sitting out the back.
Good subs. Cameron. Sullivan. Mullen.
There's such a big difference at the moment between what happens in the 2 respective forward 50s. Once Collingwood get it there, they hold it there. When the Cats go forward, if they don't score, it just comes back with interest.
It sounds like he was jumping up, trying to take a screen, and there's real risk involved in that kick. Tied it up by Manor, floats the handball. Clark did well to Atkins, and they progressed, but only so far. Collingwood digging in, forced through Josh Dacos. Now Crisp is popping it. And the umpire says, holding the ball. Good win for John Clark.
You can see him looking in the middle, but the Pies have got it covered.
And in and out of the team so far, the youngster still trying to find his way. Lags the kick and more from this match.
What Collingwood make you do, they make you go down the line.
Maynard, sharp ball just adjusted in his hands to Cameron. And that facilitates Nick Dacos into the middle to Houston. They are queuing out, bounding away. Kleiner goes long. Elliott in prime position to mark. There was nothing O'Connor could do. And Elliott probably run around, potentially run around and snap this. He's facing goal now, so he's going to take his time.
It's absolute chalk and cheese at the moment, the way they're going forward. I think he's going to go around the corner here. He hasn't gone back that far from the mark, so he'll turn side on and get his angles right here.
And had plenty of practice last week. Kicked 5 goals. Putting them through just like that. Collingwood are dominating.
They look a powerful side. It's chalk and cheese when you look at the ball movement from the 2. You just mentioned, Gaz, Collingwood force you along up the line, which is what the Cats did. For some reason, it ends up going to a matchup of Stengel against Darcy Moore, which is never going to be a win for the Cats. But then as soon as the Pies get it, it's kick in the middle, straight down the corridor, hit a target.
Yeah, that there sums up what we've seen in the last 20 minutes. So they make the ground their own. So you go down the line, and Darcy Moore is the man who's back to his very best, and he sets up for it. On that occasion, intercept marks, and then you're right. From that position, they come through the middle. Now, they don't like to do it out of D50, but if they keep intercepting through the between the 2 arcs, they come back through the middle of the ground, and you're in all sorts of trouble.
First 3 goals of the match for the Cats, last 5 for the Pies. They're out to a 14-point margin. And it's Geelong that needs to lift. Schultz been busy, side bottom everywhere. Slides in towards Elliott. Does well O'Connor. He's got a shove as well.
Yeah, that's Max Holmes again, charging him off half-back, leaves Schultz on his own.
Sends it out wide to Mullen. He's got Humphries the runner. It's a good ball to close. So here's a better build-up. But Lucha coming towards him. Ignores that option. Drops it deeper. It's all about Neil in the contest. Moore comes back with the flight. Frampton. Chain of hand pass. Rare. Slight fumble by Nick Dacos. Only a slight fumble. Now Frampton. Back to Nick, to Josh. In a tight area. Frampton's happy to concede.
Much better forward pressure from the Cats.
Yeah, I mean, this is... So inside 50s now, 2014. So they have to build some pressure, Hutto, because they're struggling to find targets going forward from the back halves especially, and they probably need to give their defence a bit of a breather.
Great coaches' votes last week. Josh Dacos, he's in magnificent form off half-back. McCreary against the handball into clear space to Chris, but again, target the middle. Holmes was onto this. Got the hand in when it mattered. Now the follow-up, the give to Blitzarves. Henry was leading one way, but on the hesitation it was Moore who was able to cut across and sabotage that move. Now Lipinski back to what is normally a steady hand of Pendlebury. He recovered from the fumble beautifully to Nick Dacos, and then to Maynard. The Cats turned to smother, but he got the rebound. Got the defensive board and kicks it up along the wing to Lipinski. He has the ball in one hand, and now he's about to release. Slots it along the line to Pendlebury.
Pendlebury half forward. Big crowd at the MCG. Perfect night, warm day in Melbourne for autumn. Pendlebury with a squaring ball. Looks for Myercheck. At the back, Cameron's in the area.
So Shannon Neal takes his turn. Well, he was deep in defence there as Ruckman. Now Blitzarves comes in and they just fold over.
Joining us, Reece Stanley off at quarter time with a hamstring issue, subbed out. Side bottom. Nick Dacos goes to something along the ground. It rolls, it spins! And the diving effort in defence sees the Cats save it just.
And Connor O'Sullivan in the last line continues to impress with just about everything he does. Dunk it into O'Connor. Shape to kick out to the wing, and eventually he does, even though again Collingwood with sheer massive numbers and size. The drop mark allowed Dangerfield in. There's O'Sullivan again getting involved in the chain of handballs. Jeremy Cameron up on the wing. It's a sight we're now familiar with. He's normally a pretty good field kick, but it gets away from Dempsey.
Max Holmes looks to be the one that's got the capability to try and break some lines and get some real aggressive run. At the moment he's been, well, for much of the night, position at half-back, taking Degoe or whoever's there. Just wonder whether now he needs to get up and get involved more in general play.
Gets a moves on still side bottom in a moment. He's the number one rated player on the ground. He's getting some medical attention. Cameron with the grab, but he can't quite go. Instead, it's Atkins who gets thrashed to the ground by Degoe. Play on again, a hard ball to win. Cameron, again, the focus. Collingwood's Cameron. They're both Atkins and Jeremy Cameron of the Cats.
A little bit of lower back action down here, guys, at the moment. He's just got some heat on it at the moment, just getting some really good work on it.
Anyone of his vintage would probably have a bit of work done on the back these days.
Manor, he dropped his head and just ran into the chiseled body of Maynard.
Not much Maynard could do there, though. He just stopped.
Hands it off to Cameron from the pocket. Jeremy Cameron looking to lift his team to the square. Frampton deals with it.
He's not finding a lot of method the way they're going forward at the moment here. This is it. You just see he just stopped. He braced himself and stopped. Manners put the head down and run at him, so there's absolutely nothing you can say.
The free kick was...
Yeah, well, exactly. He did nothing wrong, mate.
I think the umpire should, but he had some head contact.
And Houston, the waiting looked good. Quainer couldn't hold on to the mark. Hill went to work. Back to Quainer again. Close. It was just that, but he got out the other side. Houston to Frampton, and now the switch to Chris. Had Cameron in mind immediately. Big Darcy Cameron without his opponent in Stanley. He'll thrive, you'd think, as the night goes on. Uses Schultz, and then Crisp again, still chugging away along the members' wing. McCreary, it's high. Jamie Elliott can't get access, but Myercheck can. Elliott might get a free, or is there one way or the other?
Shepherding in the marking contest. You know, they're going to get a shot of goal. Gee, again, it was really obvious. Once they got through between these two 50-metre arcs, and Jason's been talking about all night, looking inside. So McCreary's the free man out here on the boundary. No one anywhere near him, but they said no. We won't go to McCreary. We'll come back through the middle of the ground. It's been really pointed. As I said, they're the number one team in the competition from going defensive 50 along the boundary. But gee, once they get outside their defensive 50, they're being bold.
Here's Nicky Jamie Elliot's never kicked 40 goals in a season. He's averaging 2.1 goals per game, only the second time over 2 in his career. Not going to rotate me that. Not even going to register a score.
You've got to remember they kicked 3 very early goals, the Cats, the scoring stride right up. They get into this mode, Collingwood, of just shutting the opposition down, and they're doing it so well.
Number 1 defence in the comp, the Pies.
And you can see why, because they're so well organised, so disciplined.
Wiltshire breaks the tackle. So it ends up back in the hands of the Pies. Duncan needs to be good here under pressure. Sullivan just goes from strength to strength. Back to Wiltshire. Just hacks the ball forward. And more.
Look at the time that Houston's got and compare it to what Wilshere just had.
Bites something off. One by Atkins got a hand. Opportunity now for Sting, who assesses his options. Looks for close in the long sleeves. Henry's ahead of the footy. Just chips it down on his path.
Well, on that occasion, he had too much time and picked off the wrong target. Went with 3 or 4 on 1 in the middle of the ground. So bad choice.
But even when they turned it over, guys, look where that forced them to have the shot from. Deep in the pocket.
Traded by Collingwood on the final day of the 23 trade period and getting booed as a result.
It's fair to say they haven't forgotten how it.
Long memories. Ollie Henry to a chorus of boos in front of the Shane Warne stand. Needs to shape it back, hits it nicely, perfectly, turns to the crowd, and that is the goal the Cats needed to break a run of 5 from the Pies.
Fantastic finish. Just a great kick under some pressure. You pretend you can block it out, but you can't. And he still went back and kicked the goal. So there's the kick from Houston in the middle of the ground. Now, they've been doing it all night. We talked about it all night. And right there, they turned the footy over. And as Jay says, at least they forced him to go wide. But in this occasion, Ollie Henry's up for it. And he just turns to the crowd, throws the arms out. He says, yep, I'll have that. So that's just so important because they kicked 6 of the last 7 goals, the Magpies.
Well, it's fair to say he's been under a lot of pressure, Ollie, just to keep his spot the last couple of weeks, so that was a huge goal for him. Just having a look at my check here, might be ribs, as he just ran into Duncan, big hit there.
Yeah, just had his elbow pushed into his own ribs. It was good commitment from Mitch Duncan.
Squared the clearances up this quarter, the Cats, so let's see it become more competitive in that part of the game.
And we saw O'Sullivan, who started that dash out of defence, so he's been one of the real pluses. Here's DeGoey. Tosses it up. Duncan's got the best vantage point. Bobby didn't quite know how to approach that, and he's given away the front.
He's been solid, Mitch Duncan, off half back. It's been good for them. You talk about clearances this quarter, but the centre bounce clearances, Gaz, is now 10-1. That's where they're getting spanked big time, and that's creating real territory issues.
He was searching for options, and there was only Zach Guthrie in really close. Wasn't even paid the mark. Clark forced to fly. Tries there, but Dacos already arching his back to get out of any trouble. Bowes has got big trouble. At the back was Hill, didn't mark. Schultz, ball to boot. Just needed a fraction more time to guide it the right way, and now he's feeling it. Somewhere down there.
So they've only kicked 2 goals from stoppage. That's the only silver lining from the Cats here. So they're getting a bit of a lesson in clearance and centre bounce, but they've only given up 2 goals.
Smith plays on, number 1 player in the comp for metres gained this season. Dangerfield works his man underneath it. Here comes again Dangerfield, onto Duncan, forward to centre. Usually a good user, goes inside 50 to Henry, having a nice little patch, picks it up beautifully. Centering Paul, well, he's looking for close, but he forgot there was a 2.5 metre nearly Texan standing in front of him to take it. Chris comes back as Sullivan attacks it hard.
Geez, he just makes good decisions, Chief, doesn't he, for a young man?
He does. You got to like what you see. He left early, saw the kick was going to miss the mark, he attacked it, he got winded for his trouble, but a really good cut-off. They get a chance to reset here, the Cats in their forward 50.
Hard to believe he just played 1 game before this season, in his 2nd season. Collingwood lead by 8 though, and they have possession of the footy. Dacos back to Long. And a quick look to the inside. He was trying to link up with Membry. Well, Humphries was committed, but he couldn't handle the fluky ball. Here's O'Sullivan again. Sweeping handball. He set up Mitch Duncan. Good enough. Sight and sleight of hands for Jeremy Cameron. O'Sullivan again. Little shy. Challenge from behind by Perryman. Now Clark. So a couple of Cats kicks. Need to be good. Maynard just pile driving into the turf. On the southern side, there was no getting away from Braden Maynard.
It's good defence again, isn't it, from Collingwood? So Sullivan's doing everything he can to generate some run out of the back half, and yet they still are able to chop him off, force a clearance on centre wing.
Neil down to Smith. He's made contact with the boot on the way down. Wiltshire applies the tackle at the back. Dacos as a man runs straight over the top of him.
So we lauded O'Shea Mullen and the job he's done. He's up to this will be his 14th possession, Nick Dacos. So
This quarter, guys.
the ask on Mullen is to do it not for 5 minutes or 10. He'll keep presenting Nick Dacos.
Tries to plant a ball to a teammate. Doesn't quite work out to go. He's got Mullen for company. Overrunning it is Neil. Cox does well at ground level. Maynard. Wobbly ball forward. Coming back with the flight is Jai Clark. He does well here to target an Atkins who caught one in the back. He nearly got a 50, you'd think. Mullen wants it inboard, as does Duncan. Takes the latter option. Duncan by hand. Ends up with Mullen in the end. Sizes up the ball to half forward flank. Dempsey flies for the second time. Plays on. He's a skillful operator. And he hits the young man from Bowenheads, who has not kicked an AFL goal.
Well, if they can win that ball that Ollie Dempsey just won there, again, between these two 50-metre zones, then there are options everywhere. That's just the way this game's being played. It's just they haven't been able to win their share through the middle.
This young man been playing at Howard Harmer Oval in Bowenheads. Matthew Scarlett, an assistant coach down there, liked what he saw. Said the Cats to have a look at him, and now he's lining up Wiltshire for a first AFL goal. He'll have to kick it from about 46 out. Trots in, goes for the distance, just fades.
A little bit of tidy up work there for Humphrey. He's got the Cam Mooney 21 there. Big moons on the start of that, sure.
From that far out, he probably would have.
Yeah, it's closer was the problem.
Didn't want to mention that Cameron. Kick in from Houston, safe enough to Pendlebury. Josh Dacos was whizzing by, but he ignored him for now. So that last goal for the Cats is just a little bit of sting back on the Magpies, and they're not going to panic. They lead by 7. Dacos, time to get the hair right and then go short to a man who doesn't have that issue. Side bottom.
Cameron down the line.
Cox was there as well, but timely fish from O'Connor. Long just tried to walk one way and then back out, and he did it successfully. Collingwood at centre half forward. Membry the focus, made the contest, that's all he needed. De Koning as it crashed. De Goey still trying to find his way through. Close. Atkins, tough nut. Pendlebury, calm and kicks out to Membry. He knew exactly where to run. Saw that Pendlebury was at the contest, and he knew it was good odds to be able to take it. He was not quite close enough, so goes back to the ex-captain. Bobby Hill is calling for it long in the square. And I know that he'd love to fly. Kick's going to be a bit shorter than that though. Cox, hands to it. All Geelong fleet underneath. De Koning to Smith. Again, he had to use his reflexes, which he did. Bowes to close. Not 15. Nana didn't make the adjustments.
And that's exactly what it is, guys. The reason they're so good defensively is their job's being made easier by the pressure that's being put on the ball carriers for the Cats. They don't have time to make good decisions or execute properly.
You can feel the frontal pressure down here, Chief. It is enormous.
2 goals to 1 the way of the Pies in the second term. It's our front position. Pendlebury to kick a goal in season 2025.
Well, they kicked the first 3, 4 of the first 5, and since then, 5 of the last 6 gone to the Magpies, and the scoring's dried up, which has been the way the Magpies season's gone. Just deny the opposition, and it's a pretty simple as one thing, but the pressure in the front half that Jason just alluded to is a cornerstone of what they do. And then you look behind the footy and you see Darcy Moore, who's just organising troops everywhere. He's so strong in this area.
Yeah, they've got 2 spares in defence.
Dunk a little low stinger out of defence. Frampton. Now Houston. Pies fans like to see the ball in his hand. It opens up now to Quaynor. Options everywhere. Isaac takes a bounce. He's got side bottom, who's dominating again tonight, the number 22.
These two just worked that out beautifully just then. He just told him to go back and come again.
That's what he did. So Jamie Elliott, kick and a half from home. And Josh Dacos.
He'll be on high alert again right here. He's not going to be able to go the journey. So
Here's the short one. Funnily enough, to his brother.
I reckon the highest of alert would be the other Dacos kid. It goes okay.
He was just a little inexperienced, O'Sheen Mullen, because he had a teammate near him. He needed to go and stand 2 or 3 metres in front of Nick Dacos, not next to him. Too quick off the mark.
Second last year in the Brownlow with 38 votes. 3 goals for the season. Throws the grass up for 10th disposal.
In the second quarter.
From the turn alone. Dacos from right on 50. Brings it back absolutely perfectly. He is an absolute star. He's the number 35. And Foxbury taking you right into the middle of the MCG with some incredible pictures.
Well, we'll go all the way back, goes to where you said Darcy Moore was organising the defence. So they had 2 loose. He goes back and takes Perryman's man and says, you be loose because you can use the ball and rebound. And the other loose one was Isaac Quaynor, who went and took the corridor position. So they win the loose ball, they switch to Quaynor, and then they come out the fat side, they go kick, 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 and they find the target inside 50. They just do it so efficiently.
Yeah, so now it's not out of control. It's 13 points, so the game very much still on. It's just how they exit this back half at the moment. So their ball winners are Smith and Holmes, who've had 25 kicks, disposals between them. The Backline's only had the 5 kicks. You want to get this up and running and being able to come through the middle of the ground, take territory and then go over the top and think of what Collingwood got set up behind the ball.
He's in the middle, Holmes.
Cameron tapping, but Dacos got away from Mullen again. After kicking his 4th goal for the season, lost his footing. Close crashes in. Here's Manor. Almost got away from Long. He's kicked a goal. He's just kicked a goal. It was a bullet. And it was a shot the Cats have to fire.
So it's their second centre bounce. Clearance on the knife. That's the key.
Is it a clearance? They kind of created the turnover off the Dacos slip.
I'm going, if I'm Collingwood, I'm claiming it. I'm Geelong, I'm claiming it. So I'm glad that Holmes has gone in the middle of the ground. He's the one that they need to get involved. And Manor, of course, he had a couple of weeks ago here, I think got 10 coaches' votes against the Hawks. So he's been trying to look after Josh Dacos. But they've just got to get some more creative run and some, when you say run, it's metres gained in the modern vernacular, if you like, but they've got to cover the line more because at the moment they're playing back into the hands of Collingwood. That's a really good goal.
Back in the square. 5th goal of the season for Manor. He's an effective finisher. Prior to that goal was 6 of the last 7 away of Collingwood. Long hanging in there. 7-point margin, deep. Pendlebury could have picked it up, went off the ground, didn't quite work out to Clark. Opportunity again for the Cats. Dangerfield. He'll take on Pendlebury. Steps inside, sends a ball deep forward. Quaynor had it covered in the air. Cameron will be under pressure with Stengel. Did well. Back to Quaynor now. Josh Dacos measures it to the outer side. It's perfect. From the Shane Warne stand to Pendlebury.
This is possession 10 this quarter coming up for Scott Pendlebury.
Just cruises around, protects the back half of the ball. The goal, the build-up, the previous goal they kicked, he had about 3 touches in it.
He's averaging 25 touches a game so far this year in his full matches, which is his best since 2019. So he's still a force. Cameron, speaking of forces, has been a dominant big man again, as he is most weeks for Collingwood. Down the line to Membry and Cox drifting in from the side. Had a fair piece of it, not enough. Clark ran into trouble. In fact, he clocked a little high according to the umpire. Clark in his 3rd season, and now the team, as we mentioned, back to Bowes.
I like this, Hutto. This is less predictable. The down the line stuff wasn't working, so he's got to try and break it open a bit here. That's not working.
Need better field kicking than that. Holmes with the apologies as Perryman steps in.
Pendlebury wanted it short. Select that option. Got to Lipinski.
2 minutes on the clock. They're protecting down the line big time here.
Drops into the flank. And Blitzarves comes around and sends it in a row too.
But the change of direction gives you a bit of an insight, I think, into what they'll be addressing at half-time is, hey, less predictability down the middle. They've got to start kicking the footy from different parts of the ground. They're kicking out of defensive 50. They want to get hands, run and kick past the centre circle. Get over the top of this line that Collingwood have been able to put in place tonight.
Gary Lyon, Jason Dunstall, Cameron Mooney, Anthony Hudson, Super Saturday Live on Fox. Hurried ball out of the pack. Frampton arrives. It's a Spall on Neil. Had a good opening term in Shannon. Keep the opener of the match. Manor tried to don't argue and got an argument coming the other way. Wiltshire goes in hard. Dacos, Perryman, Long. Humphries provides a nice tackle opportunity now for Bowes. High pressure ball to be won, and it'll be won by the Pies. Good tackle in the middle by Long.
Wow. Just when you thought they were going to kick from a dangerous space, the Ned Long tackle wins the footy back.
Big moment. Deep in the first half. Now a chance for the Pies. Through Quaynor. Goey's calling for it in the pocket. He's got a Connor for company. Coney's got Cox. Cameron and Blitzarves. They're the lineups. Drops it into the pocket. Cameron will come at it. But again, it's the big fist of Blitzarves.
So got back to 7 points, the Cats here after being on the receiving end for probably the best part of 25-30 minutes. Desperately try and hang on here. Close this down. Go to work on how they can become a bit more dangerous going forward. Pies have been superb.
Blitzarves in front, Long and Nick Dacos both on the move. And that danger still remains as Dangerfield's kick was smothered. Pendlebury to Long, knew not to take it. Even Nick Dacos couldn't get enough on that. Memory of the early riser. It's fisted over the line by Guthrie. So 3-2 to Collingwood this quarter, 2-4 to the Cats. And despite that 20-10 clearance dominance, it's just a 7-point lead to the Magpies. Blitzarves, Humphries, looking through the hands. Cats will be happy to stave off the Magpies here until the main break. Collingwood, though, are searching. Dangerfield, always aggressive. Good release out of the stoppage by hand to close, and maybe they can pick their way down the ground. Jeremy Cameron takes it as they spread around the MCG.
Wheels round on the left, takes the short option to Clark. Now back to Dangerfield, little step. Squeezes the ball forward, and he finds Guthrie. Probably just too far out.
Just got to find a target. Got to find a little pocket, a good little lead. The bomb hasn't been working.
Sends it out wide for Clark. Does well. Does McCrew to bring it to ground. Maynard goes off the ground. Clears the area. Potentially only momentarily. Schultz will be happy to see it across the line as O'Connor rides him into the ground. It was Collingwood by 3 at quarter time after giving up the first 3 goals. 3 goals to 2 this term to lead by 7. Injury concerned Stanley subbed off at quarter time with a hamstring. Back towards side bottom. Pulsating first half here at the MCG. Side bottom has been in everything. Collingwood lead it at half time 7-7-49. To the Cats 6-6-42 by 7 points. Big night for Jack Crisp, but his family up next will celebrate the man breaking Jim Steins' record on a perfect night at a packed MCG.
There we go, folks. Half time here at the G, and it's the Pies extending their lead. 3 points at quarter time, out to 7 points at half time. Just a kick and a piece in it. Come on, Pies, says Noah Jackson. Think your Pies are just a bit too strong. We've got a few crucial players out. I tell you what, they're still playing pretty good, the Cats. As I said, when they get a bit of speed on the ball, they can certainly do some damage. I think the second quarter certainly slowed down a bit because it was just such a hectic hectic pace that opening quarter. They had to slow down. But yeah, the Pies' structure and their game plan, what they had, the processes, they seem to hold in place pretty well. They seem to control that charge of the Cats. We'll see. Tell you what, it's still anyone's game. Anyone's game in halftime. Only 7 points of difference here. The MCG in front of a packed crowd. Looks like a perfect night out there. I can't see any swirl on the ball when it's being kicked, so I'm not sure whether there's any breeze or any swirly breezes out there tonight. You'll be doing good if you can stick within 2 to 3 goals. I tell you what, if you're within 2 to 3 goals at after three-quarter time, you're still in there with a big chance. I think either of these two teams could probably bang on 4 to 5 goals pretty quick consecutively if they get that run. I think that's how good both of these teams are, and both these teams, they're not going to give up. Whoever ends up in front is going to have to fight for victory here today. No point. Is there any point showing the ladder? All right, let me have a look. I'll show you the ladder prior to the game. Collingwood, of course, on top after playing 7, 6 wins, 1 loss. The Cats hanging in there by the skin of their teeth on to 8th spot. Played 7, won 4, lost 3. Just a live ladder. It doesn't change much. The Cats still hanging on to 8 there. Of course, the Pies will go a game clear. That's the live ladder, and the not live ladder, that's where they stand at the moment. Let's go and have a look at the let's go and have a look at the player stats at the moment. Let's go and have a look at the goal scorers, because the commentators will be back in just a moment. We'll have to continue with the stats after they're wrapped up. For the Cats, Bailey Smith, Shannon Neal, Sean Manor, Oliver Henry, Oliver Dempsey, and Mark Blixfars are the single goal scorers. Brody Mychek, Dan Houston, Bobby Hill, Jamie Elliott, Nick Dace, Goss, Mason Cox, Darcy Cameron. Bit of a tongue twist, all those names. All single goal scorers, no multiples. I'm pretty sure it was Oliver Dempsey who took an absolute screamer in the square. That was an absolute ripper. They are your single goal scorers, so no one yet to hit double. There we go. Nick Dacos had a big second quarter there. I think he had 12 possessions in that second term. He's up to 17 and leading the count. 8 kicks, 9 handballs, 1 mark, 2 tackles, 2 clearances, 1 goal, 1. That being said, he's up to 17. I think he's only just starting to warm up. Scotty Pendlebury, the old boy, up to 16, having a cracking game. Bailey Smith, the best for the Cats, on 15. Of course, the old boy again, still side bottom, up there again on 14 with Dan Houston and Josh Dacos. Braden Maynard on Pinsky on 13. A lot of the Pies up the top. Then we've got Mitch Duncan. Paddy Dangerfield had a little bit better quarter then. I think he had about 7 in that term. 5 kicks, 7 handballs, 3 marks, and a clearance. All right, let's just head back to the commentators. They're just going to have a little bit of a talk about Crisp.
Beautiful ball. Jack Crisp. Sensational.
Pretty surreal. And again, I guess the great Jim Steins probably makes it even that much more sweeter.
Steins out of the air, and the big fella's done it.
We had a bit of a joke because Jim would be a bit narky about this happening because he was competitive. Having said that, he would be the first to want to congratulate Jack.
My name matched up in history against his is pretty surreal.
Steins superbly done. 40 metres out, Stanson kicks it.
The 6th player to play 200 consecutive games. Jack Crisp, the man who does not miss. Jack Crisp still doing the team thing in 244 consecutive matches.
I love what I do. To be still living my childhood dream. Pretty surreal. And I'd love to keep playing as long as I can.
Are you watching Super Saturday Live, brought to you by the all-electric Toyota BZ4X. And that man, Jack Crisp, just rolling along in consecutive game number 245. It is a tight one, a very tight one here at the G. Just a 7 points separating the Pies and the Cats. And the halftime highlights, thanks to Mac and Gaz. We've loved the ability of the Pies when they win the ball to then use the corridor.
Yeah, traditionally at a defensive 50, they don't want to go anywhere near it. But once they do get out of their own D50, they've looked inside at every single opportunity. And when they do go there, they're really dangerous. So they want to force opposition teams down the line here. This is the obvious one. Go down the line, win the ball on turnover, which is Darcy Moore. And then you'll see Nick Dacos win the ball in the middle of the ground, and then he looks inside. So from this position right here, they are just dangerous. I mean, any defence in the competition is going to struggle against that. So they haven't really wanted that out of their D50, but once they've got out, they've gone bang. So makes the other team go down the line here, win the footy back, open the corridor. So Pendlebury all of a sudden understands exactly what they want to do. Corridor space is there, and away they go. So the challenge for the Cats, of course, is to be more competitive, that cover that off, and be less predictable, Jace. The more you get predictable against this Collingwood Football Club, the more they're able to read what's going on, Darcy Moore and co, and you get yourself in all sorts of trouble.
So it does feel like things are going well for the Pies. They've got it on their terms. They did concede 3 of the first 4 goals, but they have bounced back very, very well. But it is still game on, very much so, as we head to the Cats' rooms where Cameron Mooney finds himself. Moons, the Cats have hung in. They have hung in this one, and they'll give themselves a great chance in the second half.
Look, they will too. When you talk about their bookends, they're doing very well, particularly their forward line. They're breaking even down there, particularly around the contested possession. Their back line have been absolutely fantastic, considering they're under so much pressure with how much ball has gone down there. And all that vision that you showed was absolutely spot on and brilliant. It's the midfield where they just need to obviously find something there to break even if they can in this second half. -11 at the moment with contested possession, and in particular the centre bounce clearances, which you've highlighted a couple of times, Gaz. That's where the backs are getting under so much pressure at the moment. If they can fix up their midfield, they're an absolute chance. If they don't, the damn wall just may break in this second half.
Yeah, so much to play out in the second half here. It is going to be an absolute beauty. And don't forget, tomorrow you can catch the Super Netball Melbourne Derby. It's the Vixens and the Mavericks. And it only happens here on Fox Sports.
You've been waiting for the rivalry with the Mavericks is growing. It's really exciting. I think the first...
All right, while they're just on a break there, folks, let's get back to some of these teams, player stats and team stats. Where were we? Paddy Dangerfield, wasn't it? He's up to 12. The great man, Tom Atkins, on 10 there for the Cats. Lockie Schultz, not too bad, having a bit of a run through there, just on the 9. Not really having his big impact that he has been, but we'll wait and see. Jamie Elliott started off really good in this first opening half, finding the space, having a few shots on go. One skew whiffed, another one he should have put through. It was pretty well straight in front, so Collingwood missed a couple of easy goals they should have got, so it's certainly kept Geelong in the game a little bit more. Darcy Cameron up to 9. Sam DeConey on the 9 also. Oliver Dempsey, as I said, I think that was him who took the absolute screamer in the goal square. 8 touches, 5 kicks, 3 handballs. He's kicked that goal from that brilliant mark. I'm sure we'll all see that during the week or some of these game days that we watch. There we go. Let's keep on rolling down. Someone said Lawson Humphries. Yeah, he's on 6, 5 kicks, 1 handball, 3 marks, a tackle, and a clearance there for him. The big man, Mason Cox, he wasn't too bad down forward. He looked good, looked strong. Kicked 1 goal from his 5 touches, 7 hit-outs for him, and of course Darcy Moore, the backman, back in after an ear injury with the 4 touches. Cats have 9 lives. I know they do have 9 lives. My gosh. Yeah, that's the problem. Bobby Hill started off the first quarter pretty good, but he was extremely quiet in that second term. We need him to lift. Let's just have a little bit of a look at the disposal team stats. Well, surprised by 31. There we go. 22 in the kicks and 9 in the handballs. Inside 50s, 30 to the Magpies up until half-time for 14 scoring shots. 22 for 12 for the Cats. So the Cats scoring at a better rate going inside 50 than the Magpies, it pretty well seems. Am I right or am I wrong? Maybe my math's a little bit off, but still they are holding the Cats to fewer inside 50s, which is good. A little bit under their team average, the Cats at the moment. 73, 72% disposal efficiency. My gosh. So not too bad for both teams. Inside 50 efficiencies are not too bad. Free kicks. This is what we love to see, folks. This is what we love to see. 7-6 up until half-time. Only 13 free kicks. We love these games, these big matches between two big sides. We love the umpires just to let them play. Let them play. Don't give the tiggy touch free kicks. Just let them play. It's always a little bit like a finals atmosphere when these two great sides get out there and play in front of a packed stadium. So let them play. Let's have a look at the stoppages. Tells the tale a little bit. 26-14 hit-outs, Collingwood by 12. Clearances, Collingwood getting their hands on the ball an awful lot. 20-11, dominating Geelong. Centre clearances. Geelong need to clean this up if they want first hands on the ball. 11-2. Collingwood already pretty much on their season average. Geelong, they need to do it a little bit more. Will they have to get Paddy Dangerfield back in the middle? I would think at some stage they would. That's what we thought last time, but they came out on top. Maybe they'll just leave him down forward. Stoppage clearances 9 apiece there. Contested ball. There we go. It's pretty hard fought contested game. This one, as I said, free flowing, but yeah, they certainly slowed down that second quarter a bit. It could be a break open third term. Who knows in this third one? Uncontested 24 to the Pies. Just had a little bit more control, a little bit. There we go, and plus 10 on the marks. Marks inside 50. Both teams getting plenty of opportunities there. 9-6, not too bad from both teams. Unfortunately, both teams having shots on goal where they quite possibly should have slotted them through. Didn't make the most of it. I'll tell you what, in a game like this, though, folks, in a game like this, you want to make the most of your opportunity when you got a mark inside 50. You want to make sure you take them, kick them straight, put the 6 points on the board. Your ruckman did his hand. He subbed. Oh, well, that doesn't help. That certainly doesn't help. M King. Yeah, maybe they'll stick. That wasn't Blixar's. Maybe they'll stick Blixar's back in the ruck. He's been known to do that. I can't quite remember who their ruckman was. You might be able to let us know. There we go. All right. Let me have a look at this for a minute. Just a recap. Oh. That's what I want to do. I just want to recap there's another game being played right at this present time. And of course, they're playing that over in Western Australia, in Optus Stadium there in Perth. Stand by, folks. It's the West Coast Eagles at halftime, 4-7-31. They're leading Melbourne 3-7-25. So it's the Eagles by one straight kick, a goal, over there in Perth. So that is fantastic. All right, let's just get back to the commentators just for a moment. They'll give us a bit of a chit chat and any news that's happening at the moment.
Then in the second quarter, I think they kicked 4 goals in about 7 minutes. The pressure was immense on the Demons, and the Eagles were just taking the game on, Jack.
Yeah, it came in an absolute rush for West Coast. Kicked 5 points in the first quarter, and then from there, they dominated in this second half. You can see the ball winners there. They looked such a better side with Jeremy McGovern. But you mentioned the pressure. 1-9-1 for them for West Coast. They have just found something that they haven't had for most of the season, Kingy.
Yeah, and they've needed it because they're getting hammered at clearance. Max Gorn and company have gone crazy. 27-6 they lead the clearances. So the game, if the West Coast are to be in it, is winning the ball back in the defensive half and getting going. And you have to dip your lead to Oscar Allen. He's been terrific.
Yeah, they're starting to build a little bit under Andrew McQualter, aren't they, Jay?
Yeah, it's important momentum, especially at home. But I wonder whether the story's on the other side of the fence with Melbourne, because this is the same old team with problems. Right, 12 more inside 50s, but unable to capitalise in that forward half. So it'd be frustrating for Melbourne fans and Simon Goodwin.
Just to recap, 21 more clearances at the moment for Melbourne, and they're losing at half time. That is a ridiculous result not to be able to hit the scoreboard.
Well, they've gone inside 50 29 times for 3 goals. So 3 goals, 7 admittedly. Both sides have been inaccurate. But if this continues, you would think sheer weight of numbers would get the job done for the D's.
What about this for your Saturday night doubleheader on Fox? We've got a bit of an upset brewing potentially in the West, and then here it is absolutely game on. Just 7 points the margin in favour of Collingwood.
And we've got Isaacs.
And we've got Isaac
Settle, David.
coming up in the post-game show with David King and his love child. But it is back to our commentary team next, led by Anthony Hudson and Mark Howard. The Cats trailing the Pies by 7 points.
You're watching Super Saturday Live on Fox, brought to you by the all-electric
How do you get back into this second half?
Well, yeah, it's pretty tight. So I think we're in it anyway, but we can play a better brand of football. But yeah, I'm looking forward to a big second half here.
Does it need to change in the midfield?
I reckon we're going all right, to be honest. We can get our hands on it a bit more, but it's probably more how we use the ball.
All right, mate. Good luck in the second half. Cheers, brother.
Doesn't seem two-phased, does he, Jeremy Cameron, at the best of times?
Didn't like the suggestion that they weren't in it.
Well, that's fair. It's only 7 points, so it's still very much up for grabs, but he hasn't had a big impact, so the upside is to him. And then Patrick Dangerfield with 12 touches and no score involvement, so they're the two that they'd like to see a bit more involved.
Yeah, there is upside. He obviously hasn't taken too close an eye on what's happening in the middle of the ground because they are getting pretty comprehensively beat. But he's right. With everything that the Pies have done and controlled, they're only 7 points down. So there is upside for the Cats if they can. They do need to use the ball a little bit better. Well, that's been killing them. When they turn it over, the Pies have just hunted them on the turnover and hurt them on the scoreboard.
So Darcy Moores has just rallied his group in the back half beautifully. Scott Pendlebury is the highest rated player on the ground, if you don't mind, at half-time. So again, very much in the balance. I'd like to see some more run and dare from this Geelong side in the back half because they're so well set behind the ball, Collingwood, that if you keep going predictably down the line, then they'll eat that up all day long. And there's the Dacos O'Shea Mullen matchup. Dacos leading possession winner on the ground. He's had 17 touches for the half.
Smith the most for the Cats with 15. DeGoey is part of the quartet in the middle for the Pies. They're ready to rumble again at the start of the third quarter. Back up button for the Cats. Blitzars with Stanley's injury and straight down to Dacos. Target Schiltz. The target by Duncan. Clear advantage taken by Crisp. Collingwood with the first entry. Engaging. Elliott did well. Connor there to get back off him and take the mark.
Just wasn't a great kick from Crisp to the advantage of Elliott, unfortunate. Sat it on his head.
Just enough on the kick to be paid the mark to Bailey Smith. And 9 in the first quarter, 6 in the second. Zach Guthrie, obvious, took a whistle to say play on. Floats it right up the wing. Stinger wasn't sure whether to fly or not. Skids to Manor. Looked backwards, suddenly realised it was all clear to go ahead. Dangerfield doesn't mark. Blitzars just takes the territory and hopes Stengel can be clean down low. He was clean enough. Blitzars had a little glance and then a little left foot kick. But Frampton had the dangerous areas covered and covered well. Takes the mark and gives to Josh Dacos.
Looks to the near side. Perfectly weighted to Schultz.
So again, looking inside. See if anything will open up. Down the line is Connor O'Sullivan.
Goes short to Chris. Now he goes slightly inboard. Long looks in that direction. He's got Cameron in there.
So close. Steps up as a high half forward. Fills in the centre corridor, so have to go down the line.
Josh Dacos sets it up for DeGoey. Had his name on it immediately. It's memory.
Staccating and Hill, the two on the goal square, so he's a bit low to go to the top of the square here.
So memory drops at the top of the square. Blitzars arrives. The fourth time he's done that, just fisted it across the line.
So again, this challenge for the Cats to get real dangerous ball movement. They went the journey the last time they exited their D50, but they were picked off.
Awkward for Holmes, having to wait for the bounce of the ball. He got flattened, he's rolled over and he was out of his control to try and get rid of it. The Pies were clever all over it.
Gee, it was a poor kick from Humphries to put him under pressure.
He's normally a beautiful ball user on that occasion. So Lipinski directing the traffic to soften the kick a fraction for Elliott. There was 3 Cats. And Connor, who for most of the night has been terrific.
That's not they had no representation. My check wasn't able to get there and they were outnumbered big time. So just a couple of as polished as you expect the Mackies early in this third quarter.
A cautious kick to Holmes and then back to the square again. Duncan gives it a thump. Designing the kick for Humphries. Memory so efficient there not to give away the free.
So good, Adam. Yeah. It is so good to watch.
What can he pick up his been from the Magpies so far, Tim Memory? Obviously, McStay has a medium-term injury, so he becomes all the more important.
It's still night here in Melbourne. Perfect autumn evening. Dacos to Josh Dacos. They combine. He goes the barrel. Josh throws it right to the top of the square.
It's not something you see too often, running tall for goal.
Gets the crowd out of their seat, though.
I think he struck it well.
Cats have left defensive mid 15 times, only been able to get inside 53 times.
Just watch Mullen here, guys. He's got a little bit of a limp going on with his one of his ankles at the moment. He looks really sore.
Well, that's not going to help him track Nick Dacos, that's for sure.
A rare sighting of a torpedo. Andy Smith off the ground. Pendlebury tracks it. Slight fumble. Perryman attacks it hard. Courtney attacks him. Might be the distance as Dacos. Josh flies over the top of the pack. Cat's looking to get it out. Close is good. Now there's an opportunity. Duncan streeting through the middle of the MCG. Just hand passed it wildly in the end straight to Lipinski. That was unusual. Sends it back the other way.
He couldn't kick. Darcy Moore was on his own, but that's no excuse for handballing sideways.
He saw Jeremy Cameron out to his left, but it needed to be a kick. He was never going to get there with a hand pass.
Hill. And a chip to Pendlebury. Out the ball.
So the Pies look to adjust. Bailey Smith with ball in hand. One hand. Spinning. Now the moment's right. Takes off. Kicks it along that southern wing. Blitzarves, unfettered access. Didn't quite coming together for the Cats at the moment. Cameron fired it out to Nick Dacos. Tweaked the kick beautifully to DeGoey. Inside 50 again. Commanding performance for the Magpies. And Mytek on the end of it.
Well, that's just the difference. That's the difference right there between the two teams is what Nick Dacos was able to do. Probably not many are able to do it, but this vision here is just elite. And then from that point, it opens up. But that's been the way they wanted to play all night.
Low possession player. Quite even by his standards last week with 7 disposals and a goal. Already has one under his belt tonight. Every team needs a Brody Mytek if they're lucky enough to have him. He's kicked his second. And the Magpies strike first in the third.
He's one of those players that works for 4 quarters, up and back. He always creates. He's prepared to put his body on the line. But here's the problem here. All the Cats players wanted it over the back. And you have a look forward of the crump. Collingwood players everywhere, in space, ready to rebound. And then it was just a matter of a nice kick inside 50 to the leading Mytek. Just too many Cats trying to get ahead of the footy, and it's not happening for them there.
That's a great look at it too, though. So the ball gets one on centre wing, and you see Bailey Smith and O'Shea Mullen start to go down the line. He's going to kick it down the line here, and then you saw Pendlebury and DeGoey say, no, that's not the way we're playing, and they both came to the corridor, and Nick Dacos then executed beautifully. They're on the same page, Collingwood. They're right on the same page.
They started 0-3 for set shots, the Pies. They're now 6-3, so they kicked the last 6 straight. Blitzarves with a clearance. Down towards Neil. Frampton just measured him underneath the football. Good tackle that by Close. Restricted the arm and gets the resulting free kick.
So just their third centre clearance for the match. Allows them to get some field position finally. It's incredible. The calibre of player they've got in the middle of the ground. They've had 3 centre clearances.
Dangerfield's on the lead. Over the top of him, Frampton in good position with the fist. To a dangerous area now. Henry tries to work his way through. Touch ginger there, does Nick Dacos.
Jeremy Cameron's the one they got to get involved here, Jace.
Off the ground, screws out the back, hurried snap.
He's had 6 possessions, 4 kicks, 2 of them been ineffective.
Just keep your eye here. Didn't seem to be anything that happened.
He grabbed it below his knee. Yeah,
feeling that right inside of the knee.
Josh plants the foot, goes for Cameron, then one of the dominant players on the ground.
Well, he might have a rib problem now, guys, because Mullen just made him stop in his tracks with a nice little shoulder to the ribs.
He's certainly reinforcing his attention, isn't he, on Nick Dacos at the moment at the start of the third. Good distance on the kick, Chris drifting in from the side. Enough didn't come together, O'Connor latches on.
Well, it's going to be a massive challenge right now for the Cats because the third quarter is Collingwood's strength. The number 1 rated third quarter team in the comp, and the Cats down at 16.
The Cats' final terms have been their best, so they'd like to stay in touch. Handballs are chained. Cameron to Bowes, completely unaware of what was coming. And that was Lockie Schultz. That's a very delayed advantage. It could be effective. Pendlebury down to Jamie Elliott, didn't fly. O'Connor had his measure again, and O'Sullivan was hanging on for dear life. Despite the cries of ball, it's a ball up.
What about that? What about the chase down tackle in the middle of the ground, then the big tackle and lead her out from goal? Both ends here. This is the way they love to play.
Cox and DeConing. McCreary ready for action. Pendlebury was perfectly set. A little jig from Scotty Pendlebury. He's too old for that sort of stuff, isn't he? No, he's not. He can do whatever he likes. 37 years of age, 411 games.
So they say the chase down tackle's dead and buried because of what we've seen in the last 7 days or so. No, it's not. This is just magnificent. He dived to the side, in actual fact, like he should, to make sure that he didn't end up in his back. Then they get another tackle that locks the ball inside their forward 50. And we know from clearance they've absolutely owned the Cats. 23-15, and that man there, I don't know what even Steele Sidebottom are doing, but it's hard to imagine them playing better footy right now. He was the highest ranked player on the ground the first half, Scotty Pendlebury, and now he's back one on in the third quarter.
Not quite sure about that celebration.
Still trying to work out where it's from, Shane.
Challenge in the middle for the Cats here. So they've got Tommy Atkins, they've got Mullen, who's with Nick Dacos, and they've got Jai Clark, I reckon. So it's a big job.
It's Cox. Dacos tries to steal it away from the Cats. Sidebottom just a little bit high.
So they've had more possessions overall, Collingwood. They've also had more tackles, 37-23, and 10 for the tackles inside the 450.
Got them coming back the other way. Sidebottom. They turned it over from Marlon. Cameron inboard. Nick Dacos steps where few would get through. He doesn't as well. Cameron perfect. Maya Check stands up with those big quads and marks pretty much directly in front.
They're just relentless. It's irrepressible. The pressure they put on, the turnovers that they force, and then the way they hurt you going the other way. It is a complete performance. The way they attack and then the way they defend when they don't have the ball.
Goal in the first term, the opener of the second half for Maya Check. The heart and soul player in the black and white. To really start gapping Geelong, Mychek needs to ease it back.
Then off for the Cats. Humphrey's back into play. How often they've been forced just to kick pretty short. Smith, good connection that time to Bowes. He had the Hickory to handball then, but simply couldn't.
That's where they've got to get a chain going, Hunter, but Collingwood just don't allow you to get... How many times do we see footy this year where there's chains, a handball, an overlap from the back half, it looks great. Collingwood just don't let you do it.
And every time the Cats look in the middle of the ground, there are just Collingwood numbers.
And how often have we seen that kick out to the wing where the Pies were primed? Josh Dacos, targets everywhere. Sidebottom, he's got runners to the left and the right. Josh wants it back. Not to be this time.
Between the arcs, forward half turnover again. It's been an absolute lesson. And you just almost got to say to Geelong, don't kick. Just see if you can start to run this footy out of the back half.
Collingwood crowd were urging Sidebottom to take it on. He doesn't. Pops it up for Mychek. And it's a juggler taken by DeConing instead for the Cats.
And Bailey Smith's doing this. He's running himself ragged, but he's getting all these kicks in the back pocket.
Yep.
And then he has to be the one. That's not a criticism. He's the one working his backside off. And now this is what they've got to try and get happening.
Kicked the first three of the Cats since then. The Pies 8 of the last 10. Big ball we won. Atkins progresses, scoops it back. Stengel just goes straight up in the air. Atkins again caught in a crunching tackle. They're everywhere. Collingwood Sidebottom. Another turnover. Forward hand pass. Pendlebury clean below his feet. And that of Josh Dacos. All the big names getting involved. He's got a bit of time and space to go to the Iron Man Crisp. Now Cameron. Crisp continues to sprint forward to the footy. Long comes up at it. Kick and a half from home. Can you just share the ball around now, Maynard?
Try and drag some numbers out, Howie. We'll see if they can get them all one-on-one pass. The Cameron's now made his way down there, so they've got great representation in the air.
So now Maynard pulls the trigger. Cox is just thrown out of the contest. Falls down towards long Myercheck.
And that's their worst. If that's their worst result, that they dive on a loose ground ball and cause another stoppage inside forward 50, then that's a win.
Enormous pressure number from the Pies in this third term. So they put the foot down.
Atkins, clean gather. Down the line, close under pressure, marched strongly in front of Maynard. Can they produce something off half-back, the Cats?
Well, they can't come inside. The absolute corridor is covered here.
As a result, down the line, Dangerfield's got a couple to beat. Even Patrick can't manage that.
So that's what you're up against. They're just setting the trap. It's the fly trap. They set it, and teams go there, and they gobble it up.
Dacos was tempted to play it through the middle. It goes via Cox to Josh Dacos down. Long was there, but again, manoeuvrability got clear to Chris. They're inside 50. Firing it was Myercheck. And the spin was Cameron, and the Cats are able to turn it back. Close. Atkins better watch out. Got the kick away just in time, but couldn't direct it. Josh Dacos. Canterbury already with his first of the season. DeConing, Bobby coming late. And DeConing was the only man standing after all of that. And now he's not, but he has a Sharon hug to the chest. So they are defending grimly here, the Cats. It's a 20-point margin. Collingwood have kicked 2-2 for the quarter. To the Cats, 1 point. Pressed deep in their defence. What can they do, Jason, the Cats?
Well, they've got to try and do something a little bit different. I mean, Collingwood keeps shutting off the corridor, and all they do is they bomb it long, and inevitably they turn it over.
More Wiltshire to have the football brought to ground. Says player. They move forward now through Dangerfield. Screws it to the top of the square. Fist away from Myercheck. Side bottom seemingly everywhere. Here comes Duncan. Hits the pack hard. And he is in turn hit hard.
But you can still invent things, Howard. You can still go backwards and around to switch direction to try and drag the zone and open up holes. Or you can run some handball chains, which they haven't really tried to do at the moment.
I can't remember a chain, a dangerous chain. Bailey Smith tried a couple of times to get it going, but he hasn't really got much running support.
Where's it going to come from for the Cats? If at all, Blitzar's to the outside. The logical name was Dangerfield, and Stengel got a little clip across the chops. Josh Dacos frustrated, not showing it the same way as these people.
It's a big kick.
I'm not sure how they argue with that. It's just gave him a clip on the back of the head.
It started low and
Funny
low.
fans.
It's a massive kick.
Yeah.
It's 20 points. Seems like 40 at the moment. Get this back to 14, and still they haven't even looked like getting out there going the Cats. And if they're in the 14 points,
Big moment for Tyson Stengel. He was aiming up his 150th career goal, but couldn't bring it back at all, and drifts harmlessly away. Cats need better than that.
it started on his back and then slid up and clipped him on the back there.
Maynard in purple boots. Takes a casual bounce out of the fence. Beautiful looking drop punt hill. And a searing little lead.
They are a good kicking side, Howdy. I reckon it's an underrated part. We talk about how well they defend and the pressure they put on, and tonight their clearance work, but they're a good kicking side.
Down the line. The Cats run into each other. Duncan sees long across the line.
Well, just on that, guys, the amount of times they've hit that 20, 25-metre kick through the 45 has been unbelievable tonight.
Wiltshire to the pocket. It's a good ball to Dangerfield. Metre inside the line.
And I wonder if Danger can produce something special here. They need just to kick something against the run of play, a little bit of byplay between Perryman and Henry going on. But this year, we just spoke about the importance of Stengel's kick. They get another opportunity here, albeit a tough one. Dangerfield.
15 goals for the season and most of his career, 7 games into the year. It'll take something special, and they need something special, the Cats. Dangerfield from outside the boundary line. Not a bad-looking effort. Just a touch to the near side.
They're just hanging in. They're hanging in by the skin of their teeth because Collingwood are turning it over. They've turned it over 19 times in their forward half. They just haven't got the full value on the scoreboard. Had they done that, they would have put this job down. They're hanging in the Cats just.
So the margin is gettable. 18 points. It takes all sorts. Canterbury marks. Deep in defence.
Got to push here, Geelong. They've got to sense that there's just a modicum of pressure that's building here.
And they cover pretty well there. The kick was good. It had to be from Houston to Moore. Close kept him honest. If that stays in the field of play, it was a great kick to open up everything. And it has.
Yeah, well, DeConey just let him go in the end. That's just lets him off the hook, and the pressure that was just slightly building is relieved.
McCreary on the kick. Cox had the best vantage point. Guthrie does enough. Comes to be one. There's one by Lipinski. We'll put it back into the traffic. And another ball up. So 2 goals, 2 for Collingwood for the quarter. 3 behinds for the Cats. Martin still sits at 18. After the right, Cox. Innovative. Membry got rid of Taconing. High check. They get a little closer from the corner. Missed kick, good pressure. Cats going back. And Guthrie trying to absorb. Get a ball up.
It's a critical 5 minutes here, Jace. They're just going to hang in here, the Cats. They've got to make sure that they're close enough come last quarter. Collingwood split them open here. Get this margin back out to 4 goals. They're going to be hard to chase down.
Pies by 7 at the major break. They've extended it out. Smith, one if not the best again for the Cats. Blitzarm's got Cox, does well. Now we run off him. Drives the ball down the outer wing. Neil's got a step, just leaves it behind him, Maynard. It's a big error. They'll come back hard now, the Pies. Through the skipper. Streaks through the middle of the MCG. Josh Dacos. And they get away with it with the intercept from both.
Cameron and Dangerfield a goal side there. They were out and gone, and they're still out here. The intercept was critical.
Defend that well on the turnover to Neil. Deep. It's all set up for Ollie Henry. At the front, Cameron. A couple of bites. Still didn't look convincing. Just waits for it to spit out. It went to Dangerfield. And then to Cameron. We've seen this before. A Cameron curler. And the Cats hit back.
Well, they got there in the end. You're right, Hutto. It was set up for Ollie Henry, but the kick coming in wasn't to his advantage. They had a 2-on-1. It just needed to go to the side. Would have allowed Cameron to hold his man out of the contest. You can see there's Ollie Neil long. Then they kick it back into traffic. But fortunately, they're able to keep it alive, and Danger gets the hand pass out. But he's pretty reliable on the snap. And they just hang around. You said before, they're the number 1 fourth quarter team, the Cats. So if they can hang around in touch, just within 2 or 3 goals, they'll give themselves a chance.
That's a reward, though. That's a reward for about 5 minutes of just hanging in and presenting it, working from one end to the other. Bailey Smith, I've watched him hard. He's the one that's trying as hard as he can to generate some run and some drive. Got to get a couple to go with him. Max Holmes, especially, just the 14 touches.
And a couple of big games prior to this against the Pies has the star number 5, his first of the night. He came hard at the start of the final term versus Carlton here last week, but Carlton were able to respond. Side bottom, left foot, Cameron being huge. Nice hand pass to Bobby Hill. He'll take off here. Bobby takes a bounce, takes his second. Keep going, Bobby. Bobby Hill goes for home. Maybe nearly, not quite. Crowd up. Goal umpire denied.
After the bounce, Guthrie. Long on the wing, Ollie Dempsey thought about it. Maynard's fist was firm. And it's back over the boundary line again.
It's just 13 points. It's back on. This is back on. It's not.
They've just stayed there, and as you said, yes, somehow.
Yeah, hung in close enough because all these intercepts that we've talked about all night haven't resulted in scores. That's kept them close.
So they cleaned up their kicking a goal, Collingwood, but near misses in other ways. They've kicked 2 goals to 1 this quarter. Kerry tried to go with the boot. He'll behind the back. Eventually it falls to Nick Dacos. Even numbers ahead. Cox, a sizable target. O'Sullivan does enough.
Good lad.
Draws the free.
Really good lad. Super last week against Carlton on the big stage, against Mackay and Curnow at times. And he's back out here tonight doing the job.
Astonishing number, 17 disposals, 10 intercepts, 6 intercept marks. Conceded 3 goals as well, but he's learning and learning quickly. Back to the wing. Perryman, not as sure as normal, but his second effort was terrific. To Cameron, they try and go ahead. This is where the Cats have got better. Up the ante, winning some contests. Stengel sends Dempsey, and in his own way, Wiltshire. Here's your boy Howie. Barlin heads. explode.
Well, now things get interesting. A little bit of momentum for the Cats. They're starting to win some of that loose contest ball. And then they're getting the overlap over the back. This is fantastic to see the excitement amongst the players. We love when a player kicks his first goal in league football. You take a look at the Bunnings buildup, and this is all fashioned by some good contest. You can see here the ball flies over the top of the pack, and just a little bit of pressure. Neil gets the tackle there, another one from danger, and Stengel gets the hand pass forward, and they're out. And all the while, we've seen someone drift forward, and it's the young man who kicks his first goal.
If the pressure doesn't come, young Wiltshire's standing out there on his own, twiddling his thumbs, and mum and dad and the brothers and the sisters and everyone else aren't going nuts in the crowd. They were magnificent photos and pictures. Here they are. How excited would they be? What a journey for that young man. He's at the MCG. He's kicked one on the big Saturday night stage.
Surely going off tap at the Barwon Heads pub as we speak. Off the Chester Hill, so the Cats are lifting now. Been behind the 8 ball most of the night. It's a risky ball back. Opens up for Elliott. The skill error could cost them after they had momentum. Elliott to Schultz. Feigns the hand pass. Just in a space. Dangerous space. Bobby Hill arrives. Guthrie needs to stand up. Spits it out. Bowes under immediate pressure. They're coming again here, the Pies. Schultz, he's got Pendlebury. Already kicked his first goal this season. Pendlebury with a little step. Oh, unselfishly brilliant by the Collingwood champ.
Superb. Bobby Hill's just down at the minute. Maybe shoulder, is it? We'll get a look at that in a minute. But this, when you're getting challenged and the margin's back to 7 points, go back to doing what you do best, and that's forward pressure. Get the ball inside and work your backside off, and then give it to the maestro. And Scott Pendlebury dances his way, and the ball finds its way into the arms of this man, Tim Membry.
The vision of Pendlebury. Can Membry finish it off from directly in front? In front of a big MCG crowd. The pride of Terrelgan nails it. And Collingwood skip again.
We'll keep an eye on Bobby Hill. He looks to be in a little bit of trouble here and maybe coming off, but we just spoke about how good a kicking team they are, and then the pressure came and they started to miss a couple of tackles. There's the injury we suspect that's happened there to the left shoulder as he tries to drag down Zach Guthrie. But that there means the ball gets into chaos again, and that's what they love and thrive on inside their forward 50. And as we said, the hand from Schultz, I think it is, and the vision to see Pendlebury in the middle of the ground, and then he does his dancing. And just, he can be excused for going, I'll have 2 1/4 if you don't mind. But the cool head, calm head prevailed. He stays out there, Bobby Hill, which is a good sign.
Great sign. 3 goals to 2 for the quarter, and it's back to 13 points. Collingwood's response immense. Cameron the tap, volleyed away. Pendlebury again looking to track it down, but Holmes with other ideas. To Smith, looking to chain it up. Ignored a couple on the outside and blasted in long to the size. Henry was part of it, so was Neil. Neil at Hollywood type handball. Big tackle from
Dangerfield's just up the ante too. His big tackle resulted in the Wiltshire goal. He's laid another big one right there. They're just cranking it up here. The Pies are standing up, but the Cats are coming.
Neil with a tap, stylish but read by Moore, claimed, play on, Manor. Yep, it's in.
Danger.
We've spoken all night about the Pies' pressure in their forward 50, guys. Here's a little bit of tit for tat. A little bit back from the Cats, and now there's some lip going on. Oh, a pat on the head from Bailey Smith to Braden Maynard. I'm not sure that's the smartest thing to do.
Life in your own hands, Bailey. Paddy Dangerfield's up the ante here. That's what it's about. He's looked at this and gone, okay, we can't let this go on any longer. He's gone into the middle of the ground and laid a big tackle that resulted in a goal. He's gone forward 50, laid a big chase down tackle and results in a second goal. So the last 2 goals have come about from Patrick Dangerfield saying, enough. I've got to get some pressure on this guy into this match. He needs Jeremy Cameron to come with him. Cameron hit the scoreboard, still hasn't had much footy, but there's the leader, being the leader that he is.
Back to a 7-point margin. Gone a couple of times tonight, the Cats. Now Smith, another clearance out of the middle. They're starting to get a bit of ball. straight to Perryman though. Steindl couldn't impact.
He didn't track the footy, that was the problem. He was off back towards goal.
Playing all precise.
It's 4-3 centre-bounce in favour of Geelong. Can you believe it, this third quarter? So they lost the first 3 centre-bounces in this third quarter. They've won the next 4.
Josh Dacos 25, Nick Dacos 25, Bailey Smith 25 for the Cats. What a recruit he's been. Sullivan with the fist. Bobby Hill looks to be up and running again after that shoulder concern. We'll get it tested out here at centre wing.
19 seconds. Could be critical.
Plus 4 clearances, Geelong, third quarter.
Neil, Cameron, engage. Cameron a second and a third time. A mini win, but let's ask, as he has for so many of his 258 games. Got to the right spot. I robbed him a few, 277 in fact. Down he goes for Neil. Clears all comers. A couple of times tonight, it's looked like the top of the ladder, Collingwood. We're going to run over the Cats. Steamroll to a big victory, but that is not the way it's panning out now. Geelong hit back, their stars have lifted. It's a 7-point margin at the last. Saturday night, live on Fox. And of course, it doesn't stop tonight because tomorrow, a couple of big local derby.
All right, folks, there we go, 3-quarter time. Who's going to win this game? I tell you what, the Cats hit back. It's the Pies. 10-10, 70 leading the Cats, 9-9, 63. 7-point margin, the same that it was at half-time. Just when it looked like the Pies were going to get out of this game, got out to about a 20-point lead, and the Cats clawed their way back. Well, we're in for a final quarter. So stick around, stay tuned for this one, folks. It's going down to the wire. Could have come down to the last kick of the game. Anything's possible. Don't forget to vote. Who you think's going to win this game? Do you think Collingwood or Geelong? Make sure you put your vote in on the poll that we've got going. So far, we've got 71% saying Collingwood, 29% saying Magpies. If you're a Geelong fan, hit the Geelong. If you're a Collingwood, hit the Collingwood. Just hit who you think's going to win. Come on, Cats. Adrian, what are you doing? No. Come on, Pies. Port will win. Port will win. Aussie Gaming Boy. Yeah, I don't know. I think Port have got a chance to win if they play no opposition at the moment. They're so up and down like a yo-yo. It's not funny. There we go. Another shellacking Port cop today. But this game, my gosh, I think they were saying the Cats were the best number 1 final quarter team. We'll just have to wait and see whether that comes to fruition, or can the Magpies hold on to, well, what they've been pretty much. Well, they've been sort of a little bit more in control, I think. But the score is, you know what, the score's pretty good. It's probably where it should be. A close game between these two sides. That's what we like to see. We don't like seeing these blowout games. We like seeing close games, tight games. Let's just have a quick glance at the disposal getter on the ground at 3-quarter time. Josh Dacos leads the way on 27. Bailey Smith next best for the Cats on 25, with Nick Dacos on 25. The old boys, Scotty Pendlebury on 23, Lipinski 20, and there we go down. Paddy Dangerfield, tell you what, he needs to jump out of the ground in this final quarter if the Cats are going to get over the Pies. That's what they need. Of course, they're usually the couple, Cameron and Dangerfield, to certainly bounce in this final quarter, which we've seen them do before. There we go. Let's just roll down and tell you what, I'm excited to see this final quarter, hear it, and see who's going to win, who's going to strike first blood, who's going to get the first goal. That could be all important. I tell you what, it could be. Dangerfield gold after the siren to win. Oh my gosh, that's so cruel. That's cruel. Don't say that. Don't say that. Maybe Elliott, maybe Jamie Elliott will do it again after the siren from the boundary. He'll slot it through from 51 out. Could you imagine? He's done it before. He could do it again. Wow, Aussie Gaming Boy, how you doing? Thanks for coming in. M King. Wilshire's first goal in his second game. Oh no, nice. Tell you what, the Cats are holding up well, even without Stewart back there in their backline, their ruckman gone. Sometimes when one or two players get out, it sort of opens up the opportunity. It allows you to play a little bit more open, a little bit more free. But Elliott, I'll tell you what, Elliott's been all right. He's missed a couple of sitters, though. He should have snared a couple of extra goals there in the second quarter, I think it was. Whew, I tell you what, it's going to be a good last quarter. Which stars are going to fire up? Can Nick Dacos explode? Can Paddy Dangerfield come to light? We'll see in just a moment. All right, that's enough for me, folks. It's the Magpies by 7 points. Let's head back down to the ground.
Pies by 3 at quarter time, 7 at half time. Geelong kicked 3 of the last 4 of the third term. It's a 7-point game on a perfect night in front of 80,000 at the MCG. And Cat Mooney, what a privilege to be here and see some of the superstars of the comp in action as Fox takes you pretty much into the huddle.
Right here in the huddle, all right. How about the electricity down here, guys? 80,000 people, 7 points in it, 3/4 time. Doesn't get much better than this. I spoke about a couple of stars at the start of this game. Nick Dacos, 25 possessions, getting heavily tagged. What a legend. You go over to Paddy Dangerfield, had 0 score involvement impact in that first half. Absolutely put the team on his back in that third quarter, Gaz. He was unbelievable. Got him going, 3 score involvements. Can they do it this last quarter, Gaz? It's going to be a huge quarter.
No, it's massive. A stage is set. Great pictures here. Chris Scott, very calm and methodical. Collingwood have been absolutely magnificent for 90% of this game, but with a heat calm and the pressure came in that third quarter. For Geelong, 1 set of outs, albeit by 1, James, but they won. They won clearance by 3, they won contested footy by 3, they went inside 9 times and kicked 3 goals straight.
We've commented about teams being the best in a certain quarter, and the reason it's relevant today, and the reason it's relevant,
6 and 1 for the year.
The reason it's relevant is because the players know this, and they believe this, and they'll back themselves to run over the top of the opposition.
And when you think about Collingwood's history over the last 4 years under Craig McRae, it has been winning tight games, and he even referenced last week that it was the sort of game normally they might have only won, but there was 8 wins, 1 loss and 2 draws in 23, 6, 1 and 2 last year. This year only 1 close one though. We're able to get over the line against the Bulldogs. The Cats did come in season 2022 from behind at 3/4 time twice to overcome the Pies, so there's some other history there as well.
So moments, a big last quarter. Josh Dacos, 13 possessions in that third quarter, so he's had another massive impact. Sean Manor had the job on him early in this game, got off the chain in the third quarter. Big last quarter, lots at stake.
And it begins with a slightly off bounce, which probably should have been recalled, but it wasn't. To centre half forward, Mitch Duncan returning. He's got a whistle. Free kick is going his way.
He's going to play Collingwood. Oh no, he's going to play the Jack Bows.
Bose is ball holding. Bose.
Sorry, Mitch. Not your footy after all of that.
No, he's all right. And he was at 16 for the pot, Mitch Duncan. He's had a good comeback going.
There's no Tom Stewart in defence tonight for the Cats. That's where he's fitted in. Bose directly to Dangerfield, who comes out. He's got a presence like few else. Socket forward by Josh Dacos. Another poisoning for him. Long with the forward handball, but the Cats ready and waiting. Holmes to Stengel, had to be quick. Same applies for Bailey Smith through the middle. Jolted out to Jeremy Cameron, so they've handballed their way from the centre out to the wing. And Duncan has set another handball to close. Going backwards though, so Collingwood have done well to round them up and force them right back onto the wing.
So let's blast the ball down the line, Hutto. It didn't work in those first 2.5 quarters, so this, much more selective in the way they go forward here.
It's a delicate touch to Holmes, and it's just far enough to Bailey Smith. When is the moment coming, and where?
We just spoke about
for instructions. He's gone around. Oh, Dempsey can take it on his chest. Oh, he dropped it. It was almost too easy for him. Still has the hunger. Any ball's going to get out. It was Dangerfield to Neil. Slapped it on the boot. It's a near miss.
Gee, they set that up well. They cleared the path, and Dempsey had unfettered access to the footy and just couldn't get onto it.
Let's see, all night. Well, for 2.5 quarters, Collingwood have been careful from their defensive 50 and then come back through the middle once they get outside that.
Dacos called to go. Onto the big boys. Down towards the wing. Chris just through his hands. Cox pushed off it.
And they'll take that and reset. I'm just looking at Patrick Dangerfield, who's got that look about him and that glint about him right now. So Billy Frampton is the man who's got him. Good luck, Bill.
And you've seen the way he's crashed the first couple of packs, Gaz. He's just going to launch at everything.
11 disposals for Jack Crisp in his record-breaking consecutive games. Down to Smith, pushed straight off the footy. Good serves. No way out.
And then you look at the opposite, the star of the opposite side, Nick Dacos. He's had Mullen with him all night. He's found plenty of footy 25, but he hasn't exactly got off yet.
Clark.
And they've been served by their veteran Scott Pendlebury, highest rated game of the season. So these are names that you look to in fourth quarters. Mullen sticking to the task. I think they'll take this at the minute.
One goal game of the MCG. Collingwood have led at every break. Neil Smith darts through, wobbles off the outside of the boot towards Stengel. Maynard, big battle. No way through again.
So Dempsey's gone forward. Jace, he's played wing most of the night. He's now gone permanent forward. Maynard's gone to him.
And we know he's capable of taking the big mark. So look for him to fly as well.
Pies by 6. Cats pressing. Cox, the little left-handed tap. Here he comes, Dangerfield, trying to get through. Sopping away Josh Dacos. Always some risk in doing that off the ground. Bailey Smith running away from goal. O'Connor goes sideways rather than forward. At the moment, Jeremy Cameron is parading around on the wing.
Yeah, he's working very high, trying to set things up.
Called on now. And there's a bit of a mystery. I think he was trying to kick to pose, but couldn't connect at all. And Jack Crisp, who's getting an extra cheer every time he gets near the footy in his record-breaking game, and absolutely well-deserved.
So it's less end-to-end here for the Magpies, isn't it? So because Geelong have been so careful going forward, then they don't get hurt or open up as much going back the other way. So the last couple of times, they've turned it over, but it's only got the centre wing where they can go back to work. Bailey Smith's huge, up to 29 possessions.
Look at Mullen and Dacos still going at it.
Centre wing, Cox, effective tap. Dacos misses it and then just wrestles Mullen into the ground. It'll be a free kick for the Cat.
He just that might be 50.
That gives you an idea of whether or not he's had an impact right there.
And he thought, here's an opportunity to just get a little bit back on the tagger that's been in the back pocket all night.
He couldn't resist.
And then he just went one too much.
Let's keep an eye on the umpire because Mullen has not kicked an AFL goal.
Well, it's almost short.
Generous 50. Boy, gee, they don't want him to kick a goal on that one.
Well, they got stung after giving out 80 the other week, so they're a little wary.
So Mullen won't get an opportunity for his first goal. Not the required distance. Bowes almost throws it out. Manor kick couple. Dangerfield gets away from Hill. He's almost untackleable. Dangerfield.
Well, they are +6 contested ball in their forward 50 jar, which is almost unheard of. It's got a bit to do with this fellow and a couple of others.
It just takes some tackles at the moment, Gary. No one can stop him.
They can't.
Well, the good news for Geelong supporters at the moment, though, is you're winning the territory battle in the fourth quarter. The ball's down this end of the ground.
Good news for the Pies as they lead by 5. Well, they don't mark there, Crisp and Dacos. The Cats get a neutral result.
As we said, Jace, they've been much more careful, go around, short pass, rather than go one long kick down the line and have it come back in your face.
Cox with the reach, realised he could claim it, but he's caught holding the ball.
Good tackle, young Woodshot.
Yeah, and Dangerfield pointing exactly where he wants the footy. Instead, it's just roughly in his vicinity. Neil, more Dangerfield, rip. He's trying to bust his way through and he can't get out the other side. And there were 6 Collingwood players pretending to be umpires calling for holding the ball. And may well have had a case as he took on the tacklers. Back up and there it goes. Cox just pats it down, softest of touch. Josh Dacos, and there was a prospect of getting out of that. So they are defending here, Collingwood. The tension starting to rise. Still no goals for the term. Collingwood hanging on to a narrow lead.
He's fun to watch, Paddy Dangerfield, in this scenario, because when he sees an opening, he just puts the head down, and if you're in the way, he's going to go straight through you.
Oh, the top of your run through, you take your pick. There he goes again. Bursts through another tackle out towards Smith. He's shoved away from Crisp. High ball, Bose comes the other way, not the distance. Sends it to a dangerous area. Henry gets front position. Comes down to Manor. Wobbles it forward. Moore needs to be good under pressure.
pressure tells, guys. And they built some. And Darcy Moore just had a moment where he didn't quite handle it. He thought, I'm under serious pressure, I'm going to get rid of the ball. What do I do? I'm just going to try and slap it away. And all he's done is scoop it straight to Henry, who kicks the goal. So they are fallible if you put enough pressure on.
Yeah, I give a lot of credit to the coach's box in the way they've changed their style and the way they go forward particularly, because they're not getting opened up back the other way. And they just repeat entry, repeat entry, repeat entry. So here we are into the fourth quarter. It's 5 inside 50s and Collingwood haven't been inside at all because they refuse to just hand the footy back. They now get into a position where they can defend behind the ball.
And when they do kick it in forward, they're getting a better contest in the air, the Cats bringing it to the ground and then going to work.
The X-Pike kicks his second, Geelong in front. Tap from Blitzarves. Long redoubles his efforts, found a way to squirt it out. Elliott off the square, catch with the extra number. Smith again, he's been pivotal. To Duncan, who's made a difference in a whirlwind there at half forward. Close to let the ball do its thing. Issued the instructions to Wiltshire. He's in the right place. Cats go in again. Stabs it just over the head. There's a whistle. And it's a sharp wow. O'Neill.
It was a dangerous place to miss the turnover as well. So had it not, the free kick not being paid, they were going the other way.
Low percentage kick. Dangerfield plays for the free because he was out of position. Neil gets it wrong. Houston gets it right.
With no limitations. There wasn't much in it. Hand in the back. That often just gets left alone.
Floating dangerous ball to centre half back, but it pays off. Side bottom. Dacos looking past on the outside. Instead, it's to Perryman and then to Frampton, who's far afield now. To Dacos again. Decoding the look, and that was all he needed.
There's a bit of Collingwood about this now. Between the arcs, the ball's getting turned over, or it's at least being stopped before it gets into a really dangerous position. The clearance game becomes important for territory for Collingwood. Haven't been inside 50 for the quarter. Great view right there. The vacant forward line of Geelong right now.
Atkins goes in hard. Dacos pushed off it. Mullen might have missed the foot on the way through. Side bottom. Josh Dacos in space. That's danger. Sends it down towards my check. Put the ball to the check. Boys, says play on.
Wow. Gee, it looked like a mark, but I'm trying to work out what Sam McCone was doing. He was the spare defender, and he just stood and watched the contest, allowed a one-on-one. He should have doubled round and got involved.
Hit the ground, so we could see from here, did hit the ground.
Another good decision from the umpire.
Side bottom held by Smith. Ripped back.
Well, the thing about still side bottom, and there's plenty of being said out there at the moment between Bailey Smith and Jordan McGoey, but he's on the move. So once you're on the move, you have half a chance to draw a free kick. And it was only,
he made the most of it.
It was a yank of the arm. It was a yank of the arm. Big kick here.
To retake the lead for the Pies. The famous number 22. Side bottom cuts. And it was all square at the MCG. This is why we come to the footy.
A couple of words exchanged again after he missed it.
After he's the confidence to have a bounce. Wasn't the best connection on the kick. Blitzarves gets there first, and the Cats get it to the boundary.
So they've upped their contest as well. So this is a reflection on how good Collingwood were for 2.5 quarters. Is that it's a stark turnaround in what we're seeing. That was a Darcy Capra mark at the start of the game.
Hoskin Elliott is out there because that man has been subbed off, Mason Cox.
It's a good time to, I reckon. Get some run, get someone with ability to cover the lines, both ends of the ground.
So Cameron Lassalle ruckman, and she'll do with a plum. Side bottom found a way to just wreck it out of there. Here's Smith. Bowes was his backup. A slight fumble, but a handball to Atkins. He was trying to shake off the tackle. If it wasn't too high, it was holding the ball. And it was holding the ball. Side bottom again. Get the Pies fans on their feet. Scores level at the MCG.
Take the dangerous space, O'Shea Mullen. Don't stand behind. He looks like he's made the adjustment with Nick Dacos. He has, Jason, standing 3 metres in front of Dacos.
Pendlebury gives the signal, follows through on the kick. Myercheck, Membry, and a host of Cats. Underneath, Hoskin Elliott.
I'll tell you what, Gaz, he learned a lesson quick there too. He stood in front, but then when he doubled back, he didn't get goal side of Dacos. He streamed past the back, was looking for the crumb, and lucky he didn't get it.
So Membry rocking forward against DeConey, who's a regular now for the Cats. Can he take advantage? No, Membry just grabs it and puts it down to Schultz. They're fighting over it. Smith with a clear and kick, but for how far? Not too far. Perryman. Membry calling it again to the top of the goal square. But Schultz in the pocket. All that going through his head. Perryman, a fresh pie. Well-weighted kick. And out comes Martek. Great connection between the two. Not what the Geelong coach wanted to see.
No, and once again, Sam DeConey, he just got caught spectating. He was sitting off. Myercheck was his man, and he didn't get there to compete. You saw he was disgusted with himself afterwards. Big defensive error.
11 goals, 47 games coming in. 2 goals, 2 for the night. Normally you'd want to be on Myercheck, but that's another misfire. So they're wonky at the start and they're wobbly at the end.
We spoke about them being one of the least accurate teams in the competition. Could have come back to haunt them now. 16th out of 18 teams in front of the sticks.
Fumbles in defence. Not for his head taped up. Nick Dacos having possibly his last spell on the bench. Dangerfield flips those hands up, takes a strong mark.
Great protection from blitz halves.
Dangerfield can't step. Forced to go up and under the Cameron. Hasn't been a factor. Stands underneath it. Fisted away from him. Over the top. Dangerfield again. They just can't stop him. He takes on every tackle at the moment. And he's winning the contest.
Jeez, it's exciting when he plays like this. And
He's wheeling himself.
Yeah, he is, Moons. And he had no options but to handball. He just handballed it where he saw some hoop jumpers and just took a bit of ground.
So Geelong have had 15 handball receives for the quarter to 3. That's where the game's at. So all of a sudden we've spoken about, the first half, there was no run and no carry. Now the sharing's happening. And for the Pies, it's just got a bit stagnant right now. 3 handball receives for the quarter.
Insufficient intent, Manor. He's kicked a couple. Looking to drive another ball inside 50 for the turn for the Cats. Runs his measure. Drops it 30 from home. Stengels the flyer. Caught behind. Pressure penalty. Good man in a tough situation. As his side bottom.
Deep breath. Winning clearance this quarter again, the Cats. Second half been so much better.
Cameron down towards Pendlebury.
He's down here, guys, quickly. Sorry, check down Houston. Just come off, holding his hamstring. It's either, I'm not sure if it's a cramp. I think it is a cramp. I just thought he might have done his hamstring. Looks like a cramp.
Good news if it's just a cramp.
He's got the pickle juice in one hand and he's getting a rub down. So that's just behind the footy here, Mark Blitzards now. He's playing the Darcy Moore role in that first half. So really well protected behind the footy, Geelong.
82,000 people in full voice. Hoskin Elliott, the activated sub, kicks it back towards halfback. Cats were there with Bose and Zach Guthrie as the chant rings out in support of their mighty Magpies, swirling around that chain-worn south on the southern side of the ground. Can hear it from the Ponsford stand end, sweeps across the members here at the MCG, jam-packed down to the punt road end of the stadium, which is where the footy is now. Collingwood holding on to a 1-point lead. Cameron against that renowned ruckman Patrick Dangerfield. Now the Pies want that for insufficient intent, but the umpire makes his own assessment. There's a lone Hawthorn supporter in all that. He's here. He's so excited about tomorrow. He's here a day early, Chief.
82,500 in the crowd. Most of them Collingwood supporters, and they are coming into voice because this is a thriller.
Collingwood by 3 at quarter time, 7 at half and 3/4 time. Currently up by the barest margin, a point. Out of the ruck. Bose does well, gets away from one with strength. Check sides the ball forward. Stengel's got 2 to beat, nearly does it.
Get it in there, Jason, and keep it in 6-0. Forward 50 tackles in favour of Geelong this quarter.
And what they've managed to do is flip the territory battle on its head. 8-3, the inside 50s in their favour this quarter. And so once they get it there, they're holding it there.
Got good protection, as we've spoken about, behind the footy. They've got a +1 down the line here.
Houston not looking comfortable on the bench with a hamstring. Dangerfield, side bottom. Pendlebury to tackle. Houston got up, looking to come on. Now looks like they're testing the hamstring down there on the bench. Manor, fresh area out at Stengel, looking towards the umpire.
So look at the pressure number there for both teams. It is hot in the kitchen. And if you can keep the ball inside 50, you continue to have stoppages. You put pressure on the opposition, you might draw a free kick.
220 off the charts. Danger. Hands and knees. Atkins.
Yeah, Sidebottom did it the other end of the ground when he was on the move through that stoppage, but didn't take his opportunity. So this is where you find out that cramp looks pretty severe. I hope that's a severe cramp.
He's walking very stiffly. It won't go away.
Pressure on everyone, even the physio. Collingwood's lead is 1. Cats with an opportunity. Dangerfield, he spotted Manor. Couldn't hit him. Still he gets the chance. Now it's Holmes pushed back. Trying to get it back to Manor. The pushing, the shoving. It continues. Collingwood have been able to just avert the immediate danger and get it back outside the arc.
Stays there. Stays in the dangerous part of the ground.
This could come down to one efficient set shot, one snapped goal from nowhere that could decide the contest.
Past the mid part of the final term. Smothers to be everything. Clearing kick, Perryman back to the wing. Elliott eyeing off this one. Well done to Koenig. An important touch. Connor happy just to crop it.
She's had to play effort by Tony Elliott, isn't it? So he halves the contest with a bloke who's a foot taller than him, and then Mark O'Connor, who's a spare, comes up, and he's able to halve that contest and force a stoppage.
Down to 9 minutes remaining. Blitzars has a couple of goes at it. Even Pendlebury can't find his way out of the maze. And so we'll have another ball up.
It's just moving from clearance to clearance, to stoppage to stoppage to stoppage at the moment.
Nick Dacos just come on the ground. He's at 30 off the ball at the moment. Duncan standing beside him.
You've got to have an appetite for this. This is where you've got to hold your nerve. You know, you don't fold and you don't bend. Neither side is right now. They're thriving on the contest inside.
Yep.
And that's why the ball's not moving, but it's enthralling.
Houston still looks unsure at the bottom of the screen. Down on the bench with the medical staff. Side bottom. Long.
Got to go again. You just got to go again.
Blitzarves clears the area by grabbing it out of the ruck. Moore floats across. Frampton probably took it off him in the end. Moore comes back. Frampton. Josh Dacos. Now Hoskin Elliott. The activated sub. Down the line. Favours O'Sullivan. Gets a fist on it. Now here's a ball. Blitzarves. He goes to the middle. It's risky. Needed to be good it was. They scoop it out. Now Guthrie takes his time. Sends it deep. Dempsey's at the back of the pack. Takes the mark. The young man, the Spring Hill operator, got rid of Crisp and a line-up.
You spoke about this move early in the last quarter, guys. Move the bloke that can mark the ball fall down. We used to see him fly high. He stayed down. He just used the body.
See this, and the clearance out, the stoppage after stoppage, that's through you win one, and then it's just a matter of centimetres you get the ball through the middle of the ground.
Ollie Dempsey from directly in front. The rising star is now our next star.
I'll give you an idea of just what this last quarter is like and why it just captures everyone and why it's so hard and tough. There were 40 stoppages in the first 3 quarters. There's been 28 already in this last quarter. So just get yourself into that mindset of where you've got to work and grind your way around until you find some space and then your moment arises. And it arose for Oliver Dempsey and he was good enough to take it.
Starting to get deep into the last quarter. 1 possession for Nick Dacos in this 4th quarter. So Shane Mullen sticking to his game.
He is.
He was pushing forward a bit on that last couple of passages of play, but now he's back in the middle. Mighty roar from Ollie Dempsey. They kicked the first 3 goals of the night, the Cats, and the Pies hit back hard. They're by 7 points at half-time and look to have the game in control. Now Geelong up by 5. Holmes out of the middle, realised he can tuck it under the arm and just run and bounce. Cuts it back, Dangerfield!
Look at the bloke right in front of him. It's Bailey Smith and there's a bit going on here. There's plenty going on here. Let's have a look at this again. So Brayden Maynard saying he had the knee dropped into him. The umpire's not having any of it. Bailey Smith spread from that centre bounce. He put 15 metres on Jordan to go in a heartbeat here.
The moment he starts to shake for a banana, Dangerfield knows it's going to drop short and he takes front spot. He's the first to react.
The Cats against the top of the ladder Magpies. Patrick Dangerfield without a goal tonight to put them 11 points clear. Talk about captain's goals. Talk about that one. Cats by 11.
Well, when big moments step up and you need someone to step into it, you either step right up and face it and spur it down, or you don't. Patrick Dangerfield does it every single time. He doesn't always get it, he doesn't always win the game or win the contest, but he puts himself there with a chance to. So that's what Blake Maynard's complaining about. We'll have to have another look at it. But he just comes to the contest every single time.
No, he was just trying to push him off. Just trying to push him off, nothing in that. But look, we talk about a lot of numbers in the game, and sometimes they're just numbers. And we spoke about the Cats being the number one fourth quarter team, or it's their best quarter. They're 3 goals to nothing. They have lifted. The pressure is hot. They are on.
3 goals to zip away the Cats in the last 4 of the match. Dacos, Pendlebury, nice combination to get your team forward. Battle off the ball, comes to a dangerous area. Schultz applies a tackle to go. He hasn't been a factor. Long through traffic. Snap out of the pack.
You tell us they're 16th for accuracy, I reckon. There's been 3 gilt-edged opportunities and they just haven't been able to take. They've kicked 3 behinds to 3 goals 2 for the quarter.
And eventually you miss your opportunities. It has to tell. It has to tell against the good teams.
Holmes takes off as long as he can out towards the wing. Dangerfield, presence and dangerous. Forward to close to Dempsey. He can dictate play. Way too close. Was in the right place. Now it's Bailey Smith. They've got a bounce ball. Deep, 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 Billy.
Gee, this bloke's running capacity is not. It's back to the sort of Ben Cousins portrait.
Or down the middle. Here we go.
Gutsy and a nicely weighted option.
That's right. Let's keep going here.
So Moore comes and sets a task to Lipinski. Clark attacks the footy. Here's a ball we won. Tight on the boundary line.
Well done, Zach Guthrie. Body line the ball, took it with him as he came through.
Just back on Bailey Smith. They had Jordan going for about 3 seconds, try and run with him. And he just gapped him everywhere all over the ground. So now side bottom sort of taking responsibility. Bloke we know that's been able to run for 20 years. It's tiring watching him.
32 disposals for Bailey Smith.
Averaging 30, he's past that. Bobby Hill runs into the man. Basileka just bounces straight off him. Slight fumble. Works his way through it.
As you spoke about the Swiss Army knife at the start of the game, how massive has Mark Blitzar's been in this game since Reece Stanley's gone off that injury?
Yeah, you don't know what you got, Moons, until he's not there, I reckon, with Blitzar's.
Frampton tries to tap it forward. Bowes happy to just scunge it forward. He might have an issue here if it goes out. Stengel gets an important touch.
This was a great kick. And it's a great run chased down by Tyson Stengel. So it's all to do now for the Magpies. They've been outstanding in the first 2.5 quarters. Geelong have changed it up. And what have they got?
Dangerfield in the ruck here against Darcy Cameron.
5 minutes remaining. The election's been run and won. We've got the close one at the MCG. Don't ride off the pies. Renowned fast finishes, we know.
So look behind the footy and you work out what's going to happen if they win possession here. So Conroe Sullivan is the free. He's the spare about a kick and a half away. So what they do when they win possession, if they win possession here for Collingwood, is critical.
Crowd hushed. Cameron guides for Pendlebury. Manor. What a game he's played. Speaking of games, Dangerfield, Bowes. Hear the noise. Cats lead by 17. And they are going to be hard to stop from here. They've kicked the last 5. But even Craig McRae will have to dig deep into his coaching manual.
They're dominating everything. everything that matters, Hutto. 74 to 40 possessions overall, 13 to 4 the inside 50s. Handball receives 27 to 8. They've got the run in the legs. They're dominating contested possessions, and they've kicked 4 goals to nothing. It's been extraordinary. Dangerfield's been involved in just about everything.
And they've also got a bloke in number 35 in the hoops.
He's had 11.
Unbelievable.
11 touches in the fourth quarter, a goal. And there's a genuine goal assist.
He didn't have a scoring involvement in the first half. Why hell has he made up for it in that second half? He's been incredible.
I haven't seen a captain put a club on his back like this in the second half for a long time. He has been enormous down here.
Collingwood need the last 3. Mullen had the job on Nick Dacos all night. Unenviable task. Cameron has got to step on Quainer. Here's Dangerfield again. They go back. Stengel, give it to the skipper. Why wouldn't you? Free kick. Collingwood take the advantage. They need to get it moving in a hurry. Sidebottom being told is to move it on. He ran out of room. Maynard has a bit of space. A rare bit of time to De Goey. Haven't seen much of him. Can De Goey lift the pies? Centering ball is good. Schultz needs to get back and ram it home.
Massive kick to give him a chance.
5 goals for the season for Lockie.
A triangle.
Time disappearing away. Simply must kick the goal. Schultz to bring it back to within 2 straight kicks in front of 82,514 people at the MCG. Lockie Schultz, it's coming, but not enough.
I don't think anyone touched it.
He's had an airy there. Look at Mark Blitzarves had an airy.
I believe it's behind us. We'll make sure the ball was touched in the square.
The boundary umpire thinks it was touched. He clearly indicated.
Review underway.
Does he touch it?
Is he hit that or not?
I hope not, Gav.
His thumb is close, but
Can you overrule on that?
that's a good question.
You can't, yeah, well, they'd have to definitively say that there hasn't been a touch.
Is it an insufficient evidence, or is it a
Well, if there's a call the other way,
no bend of the finger? I think he's confident that he touched it.
well, the touch call is going to help him, I would think.
I'd sit there all night wanting it back and forward, you still wouldn't know.
You're going to have to make a call at some stage. And if it goes through, then Collingwood's history and record in these tight games becomes absolutely relevant again. That's how big it is.
Players are setting up like it's a point.
Could be a great bluff now. You never know.
Review complete. Looking at these angles, there is insufficient evidence to determine the ball is
Coles Roy.
Decision on the scoreboard.
Who called the touch, Joyce? Did you say the boundary?
The boundary umpire, he tapped his hand. He was confident.
Such a fine line.
He came in for the discussion and he definitely tapped his hand as though it had been touched.
There and no doubt.
It's a big call.
This is a big contest right here, this one.
Guthrie heaves it out to the wing. Maynard decoding, and guess who? Dangerfield, man, a snappy hands. Blitzarves again. Left foot down the line, O'Connor, towering figure more. He wants to go, he wants to play, he can't.
Patrick Dangerfield's had 7 ground ball gets this quarter. Collingwood have had 6 as a team.
It feels a bit like this Sam Kekovich story about taking on a team.
It's unfolding in front of our eyes.
A lofted ball towards Blitzarves. Mychek's claimed it and he's paid it.
Wow, that's a big pack mark.
Huge.
So he gets back and kicks this. It gets to 10 points with 2 minutes, 2.5 minutes maybe.
Blitzarves hobbling off the ball too. I don't know what happened if he landed awkwardly, but he is not moving particularly well.
Darcy Walker keeps coming to the wing, to the bench almost, to talk to Craig McRae to get instructions.
That's exactly what's happening. I know he's coming down, getting Craig and talking about some things.
It's going through the head of Brody Mychek, normally so reliable. 2 goals, 3 tonight. He's got this one. He's got it on target. It's still alive. It's Collingwood. 3 for Brody Mychek. And the most fascinating, action-packed, tension-filled 2 minutes, 27 to come.
You ride the pies off at your peril. 3 goals down with just under 3 minutes to play.
No one's written them off. They're because of what we've seen so often over the last few years. So 10 points, 2.5 minutes, it's an eternity.
Their record in close games is ridiculously good.
So this fourth quarter, the clearance situation's been spun on its head because it was so one way. But centre-bounce clearance this quarter is just one in favour of the Cats. So there hasn't been a bigger centre-bounce than this one right here.
That is a great contested mark on my check too.
Pendlebury, side bottom, Dacos and Cameron versus Blitzarves, Smith, Atkins and Mullen. Bailey Smith, nicked by the champ to Pendlebury. Josh didn't realise it was coming to him. Massive clearance and go the way of the Cats. Manor,
there's a chase.
Looking to finish the game. Bobby Hill runs it down. What? Brilliant from Bobby. Bobby Dazzler brings him down.
This is unbelievable. No.
Big call.
He said he legged him. Slid down in the tackle.
No.
Wow, he's that massive.
That is extraordinary.
Let's have a look at the replay. It's a great chase. I couldn't pay that as a trip. Anything above the knees is okay, and he was around the knee.
Dangerfield in the area. He's been massive. Quaynor, they need to get the ball moving in a massive hurry. Got to take it on the Pies. Myercheck stands up, fisted away from him. Smith wants the 1-2. Manor sends it deep forward. Quaynor tracks back. Takes the mark, has to go, just has to go.
Magnificent take it was, and he sends Crisp on his way. Out to the wing. Now it's Maynard. A bounce. Sharp kick to half forward. Clears just about everyone. There's a whistle.
Free kick, Collingwood.
No, it's gone the other way. Mayhem in the crowd.
And they had a couple of calls go their way.
I don't know what that one was for. We're going to have a look
Is he
at
holding the arm?
It didn't look like there was much in it, Jace. Calmhead's got to prevail here for Geelong.
Bowes, a minute 14, 10 points. Up goes Crisp. He wants to win this huge occasion for him. Down it went to Myercheck, off hands quickly. Atkins just barreling through. Kick it forward any which way. Precious seconds countdown. We're inside the last 60 seconds. It's got to be a hot 60 for Collingwood. And it starts here and now. Perryman, out wide to Schultz. He's got Elliott. And we know that he knows exactly what to do. But even by his standards, this has got to be as pure as snow. 35 seconds. Jamie Elliott, they need 2 straight kicks. And they don't get the first one. It drops short. Yes! Quick, Myercheck. Down to 24.
And 50.
And 50, it's through.
Good job. Unbelievable finish.
What about the contested marks that Myercheck's taking?
There's been heroics everywhere in this last quarter, Jace.
4 goals for Brody Myercheck, and we're back to 4 points the difference with 20 spine-tingling seconds to go.
How do you set up if you're Geelong for this centre bounce clearance go?
Nervously, Jace. That's how you set up. The centre bounce has been unbelievable all night. 16-10 in favour of Collingwood. They dominated this in the first 2.5 quarters. The Cats have just slowly got their nose back.
How do you hold in the centre square to buy a bit of time to run down 20 seconds to not allow that stoppage?
Well, let's just look at Cameron's up on the half-back line on the wing as much as far as he can go. So he'll just go and sprint to the back half as soon as this ball gets bounced.
You can see Luke Dacos pull back in the centre square, creating space. Right. It's got to be like 4 tags here, 4 one-on-ones from the Cats.
82,000 standing. Precious seconds. We lose 5.
I love that. At least they knew they were on the same page.
Everything must go perfectly now for the Pies. More seconds. Blitzard will hold it in.
He's going to get picked.
He does.
This is enormous.
6 seconds.
They've got to hang it.
They've got to drive it forward. They need to take a mark. Jack Twist in the record-breaking game to win it after the siren. You can't believe what's happening in the MCG. And the Iron Man will have the game on his boot.
You wouldn't write the script. You wouldn't write this script.
Now, what about the occasion? Let's all turn around straight. The pressure of this kick is enormous.
He has kicked some big goals in his life. There's his kids looking on. stage set, game on the line.
Listen to the crowd. They'll tell you whether he kicks it or not.
245th straight game. Crisp to win it from 50. Set sail. Jack Crisp misses Des Crisp. His teammates go to him, and the Cats hold on in a modern-day classic at the MCG. Can't believe what you've seen here tonight. Just cannot believe it.
Just the way that Collingwood were able to give themselves a chance to win that after being 3 goals down with 3 minutes to play.
You just got to unpack the whole lot. You just got to go back and watch it again, because that man there played as heroic a last quarter as you're likely to see. And then this football club, Collingwood, refused to concede anything. And then the bloke who's just broken a record we never thought was ever going to be broken, had a kick after the siren to win it. You wouldn't like that, Joe. You wouldn't ride the bug and go, yeah, take that back. That ain't happening.
What a contest.
I know, take a breath.
I can't speak, Gas.
Unbelievable. Both of these teams, that goes down, Howie just summed it up beautifully, that goes down as a modern-day classic.
2 great clubs, 1 great contest, an unforgettable finish. If you weren't riding it, you'd probably have just, that last line might have been slightly different.
Well, you throw in the Bobby Hill chase down in amongst all this.
Some decisions to go. Hayes is going to have a massive look.
It is going to be unpacked. We'll stay with us here, because the boys, half of the boys are going to take their shoot into tomorrow. They're going to have that much to talk about. And these guys will handle this with class. So this is Jack Crisp family, Craig McRae. Everything that's going on in Craig McRae's mind, he goes and gets Jack Crisp family and makes sure that they're out there being a part of what is an extraordinary day in AFL football. And some of the decisions that were made need to be had a look at again. 24. You might kick the point. That doesn't mean you played the game. Well, that's all it matters, doesn't it?
Lila, Murphy and Sloan out there with their dad. The record breaker had the game on his boot. 24 hours is a long time in football.
Well, and again, we're going to celebrate what we're able to do here, by the way.
It's a huge 4 points for the Cats.
And that man there, Bailey Smith, I know Dangerfield was the superhero. That's the sidekick right there. Bailey Smith was unbelievable. When they needed someone to run and carry, he was the man.
He is down there, Patrick Dangerfield with Cam Mooney. I don't know if you see a better game than that for a long, long time, Cameron.
Paddy, just tell us what's going on through your mind at the moment. We were just talking before, we thought the perfect script written for Jack there. Fortunately for you guys, it didn't happen. Yeah, that's how it felt, to be honest, Moons. It was like a footy god sort of moment, wasn't it? And he's been an incredible player, and then what an achievement to, resilience, professionalism, all those things tied into one to play that at that level for that long is special. And fortunately for us, unfortunately for Collingwood, but it was a pretty special match, I think. Tell us about the second half. You only went in at 7 points down at half time, but it felt like they were in control. What was said about the way that you wanted to move the ball and the way that you wanted to attack it? It was going to be moments, Moons, and it was wrestling back that momentum. We weren't great around the ball. They were starting to get some nice looks out of stoppage, and I felt like we wrestled back that momentum, made it a bit more of a scrap, and then controlled play a little bit better, and then we got our opportunities to score, and then as this game often brings us these moments where with 3 minutes to go, I think we're in an okay position, and then bang bang, it's game on. And that's been Collingwood. They're a team that never gives up, and they always fight. Your own performance, we're talking about a couple of guys over there, Pendles and Sidebottom, a couple of the older guys just winding back the clock. I mean, tonight was one of the best games I've seen you play, mate, in all honesty. I thought you were absolutely fantastic. But how are you finding yourself at the moment? Well, I love the game, Moons. Love the Geelong Footy Club. I love everything that we have built over a long period of time, and it's a privilege to play the game. It's a privilege to play the game against champions like Steele and Pendles. So I relish those opportunities, and then the young up and coming superstars which they have, and I feel like we've got a few of those as well. So once the game's over and your career's done, it's done. So it's cherish every moment. Go and cherish it, brother.
Thank you, Dangerfield. 13 possessions in the last quarter, 10 contested, 5 scoring moments. Just as good a quarter and a half, maybe as good a quarter as you can see. Now these moments.
How many moments are you going to go through here, Gary?
I don't know. We'll go through them all before we're off air. But this is the Bobby Hill that was paid a trip
Well, I guess the right arm does go below the neck.
But we need to have a good look at that slow.
That could be paid either way very easily.
So let's just have a look in the slow-mo before we get to Bailey Smith, because he was a superstar as well. So this chase down tackle's been in hot debate for a long time. Oh, I'm going to have to go to Bailey Smith before we can make a decision on that. Moons, this man was magnificent.
Just having a bit of a talk about those decisions, actually, and you thought yourself, we're a bit lucky?
Yeah, mate, I reckon you put the whistle away there, but I mean, lucky to be on that side of the whistle. So, but gee whiz, yeah, some of that run down tackle and the touch, I don't know, but you take it, I guess, because sometimes it goes against you. So, lucky, but yeah, we came a bit there in the last, and then yeah, Chris, I thought he was going to have the fairy tale ending. My heart was in my mouth, so I was so scared, but thank God we got through, yeah.
I spoke to Pat about the second half compared to the first half. As we said, only going in 7 points down, so you weren't out of it, but you felt like they had control of the game. What changed in that second half?
Yeah, I sort of felt like they were in control most of it. I think, I don't know, just getting the ball deeper into people like Paddy who can compete really well, even though he might be outsized or whatever, just giving our forwards a chance, get it forward, and then just guard the corridor. Their ball use, they like running in numbers through the corridor, using the ball through there. So, yeah, our ability to absorb the pressure and then apply it, and then, yeah, just try out last them, which we just did, yeah.
Well, you seem very happy here, mate. You've fitted in so well to this football club. Just tell us about your journey over the last few months.
Yeah, mate. Yeah, very grateful to be where I am. They've welcomed me with open arms, so yeah, I'm just forever in debt to this club. So I'll just keep working my ass off to repay them, and I'm doing what I love doing, and that's competing, regardless if we win, lose or draw. I'm just happy. So yeah, I can't really lose.
How good's it? 82,000 versus Collingwood on a Saturday night at the G. How good's that?
It's beautiful, mate. Not getting that at Ballarat, so.
Just a little sting in the tail.
He can't help himself getting 34 disposals to Bailey Smith. Well, he's been unbelievable. 30 plus again tonight. Had a nice little track there. Someone. Number one disposals. He's leading meters gained. He's recruit of the year at this stage, isn't he?
It's a very, very good pickup, and I must admit he's a much better footballer than I've given him credit for over the journey. I think tonight, especially watching him firsthand, when they needed someone to say, no, we need to run and carry and get this ball game moving. He was the one, and then Danger finished it off.
You look at the month ahead, but what he does do for the Cats is he gives them something they desperately needed. He fills a massive hole. They relied far too heavily on Max Holmes. Now they get more run.
So they had 20 seconds it was held in. They had 14 seconds. I think they had about 7 seconds when the final clearance had to come out of the middle. Here we go, and it lands in the hands of the record breaker.
And one of the things to remember here, so you'll see Pendlebury gets it and kicks it forward. All the Cats have gone too deep in defence. They're all over the back playing goalkeeper. There's no one in front. There's 4 pies there at the front where the ball went.
Yeah,
so they didn't get themselves organised, and they nearly paid the penalty.
Did you think he was going to kick it or not?
I thought the pressure was going to be enormous on that kick.
You could see it on his face
enormous
when he was going back to take the kick.
Yeah. Loved his teammates, so quick to get over, so quick.
They were that quick that for a moment in the call I thought he kicked it because they went to him that quickly. Yeah. But what about this man, Patrick Dangerfield?
Don't go anywhere. Kath Lockman's going to be back, going to be here with the boys.
3 a.m.
And they'll be unpacking every single part of this and reliving all these heroic moments and controversies and scoreline goal reviews, and they'll keep going until it's done. So you're going to get it all here on Fox Footy, but this is a Geelong Football Club that just win admirers every time. They were awful early. Collingwood were all over them, and then I think the coaching and the way they wanted to play the game changed, and meant they were able to keep field position. Anyway, they'll sort it out after this. This is a song to be sung.
And it keeps them well ahead of the ledger at 5 and 3. They've had 3 weeks at the MCG. They'll be pretty happy with 2 and 1 before they return home to take on the Giants in the next round. What a night of the footy. And these sort of occasions to sing the song is something very special. So the Cats just by 3 points hit an absolute thriller at the MCG in front of 82,000. So much to analyse from this game and all the footy that's taken place around the country right here on Fox Footy as we throw to Kath Lockman and the team. Kath?
Hello, what on earth we just witnessed? A match we will remember forever. Welcome to Super Saturday Live on Fox, the Saturday night debrief, brought to you by the all-electric Toyota BZ.
All right, folks, we'll get back to the debrief in a minute, but congratulations to the umpires. You got Geelong across the line. No, it's not a grumpy Collingwood fan. This is how I saw it. The boundary umpire called touch. The ball wasn't touched. Would have been a Collingwood goal there. The rundown tackle from from Bobby Hill was a definite tackle holding the ball. Called legged, absolute garbage, and the other one out on the wing. But there we go. That's football. That's the way it goes sometimes. And they did have a chance, of course, after the siren to kick the goal, but certainly couldn't quite get the job done. But it was the Cats coming home over the top, kicking 4 goals, 3 in that final term. The Pies, 2 goals, 5. Awkward kicking, 13-12-90, defeating the Pies, 12-15-87. I know. But even still, it was an exciting game, folks, an exciting game. Hey, Geelong came out in that final term. They came out all guns blazers. It was pressure. It was down there. You know what? They got reward for their effort halfway through the final term. But the Pies came back for a nearly a close victory, but it was a close victory to the Cats. So well done to the Cats. That's what we like to see, though. That's what we like to see. No matter who it is, we just love to see a close game. It's certainly better than a couple of games we've seen so far. Let's just have a look at the goal scorers in this match so far. Brody Myercheck topped the table there for the Pies with 4. Scotty Pendlebury, Tim Membry, Dan Houston, Bobby Hill, Jamie Elliott, Nick Dacos, Mason Cox, Darcy Cameron. Is that it? They are the single goal scorers. And for the Catters, Henry Dempsey all with 2, with Wiltshire, Smith, Neil, Dangerfield, Cameron, Bowles, Blickstars, all single goal scorers. That's why we love the game. It certainly is. Well, yeah, that's it. Oh, we play Freo next week. Who knows? Freo's at home. Could be an interesting game. But, yeah, it's a game. We all get passionate about the game, but we've got to remember it is just a game. Sometimes you win, sometimes you lose. That's the way footy is. You can't win them all. Bailey Smith, there we go, top the table. 34 possessions. He was the most on the ground there for the Cats. 22 kicks, 12 handballs, 6 marks, 2 tackles, 5 clearances and a goal. He played another great game. Josh Dacos, the only other one in the 30s. He had 32 for the Pies. Paddy Dangerfield, tell you what, yeah, he had a cracking last quarter as well. I'll tell you what, opposition need to try and stop him. He is just about untackleable. There we go, untackleable. Paddy Dangerfield. He's like a steam train coming through. 29 he had. Nick Dacos, 28. Scotty Pendlebury, 26. Side bottom, 25. There we go. We'll roll through it. Let's keep on rolling through it, and you'll be able to see your men. Manna ended up with 18. Duncan with 20 there for the Cats. Jack Crisp, who had the record-breaking consecutive games for the AFL tonight, nearly had a chance with the final kick. Was on his boot. Would have been a fairy tale ending, but just not to be. There we go. We'll just roll on down. Tyson Stengel with 12, a little bit quiet. Sam DeConing just a 14. He was quiet as well. Brody Milechek nearly turned the game on his boot with his 10 possessions, 8 kicks, 4 goals, 3. DeGoey was extremely quiet. Wouldn't surprise me to see him have a week off next week. And, of course, Mason Cox got subbed out. Who else have we got there? That is about it. Team stats, let's just roll through them. The Cats closed the door a little bit there. There we go. It's about 18 plus to the Pies. And that was roughly in the kicks. Inside 50s. The Cats caught back up nicely. 47 inside 50s to the Pies, 53. Disposal efficiency was pretty good from both teams around the ground, as in efficiency inside 50. Free kicks. There we go. It tells the tale. Look at that. Look at that. Look at that. 21 free kicks to 14. And of course, half of those come in the last quarter for the Cats, especially in the last 6 minutes of the game, 5 minutes of the game. Stoppages, Pies won that. The clearances, the Cats certainly tightened up there, 37-35. Centre clearances, Pies +6. Stoppage clearances, the Cats got on top there, +4. Contested possessions, well, there we go. I think a lot of those come in the last quarter for the Cats. They certainly, it was a hard contested, that final term uncontested. There we go, by 30 to the Pies. Turnovers, that wasn't too bad, kept under the season's average for both teams. There's the marks, plus 30 to the Pies. Inside 50 marks, well, the Pies did have more opportunities, didn't they? Both teams missed set shots in front of goal, so we can't really rule each other out for that. And of course, the tackles were both pretty similar. Inside 50 and tackles. There we go. If we have a look at the season ladder, if I can reload that up, if it's back live, there it is. There is the live ladder. Of course, Collingwood losing tonight. Unfortunately, they're still on top, but they've played one extra game. And of course, Geelong move up into 6th position. That was a handy win for them because their percentage still needs a little bit of a boost, but they are, well, strictly speaking, equal third on the ladder, aren't they? With Gold Coast, Adelaide, Bulldogs, Cats. There we go. So up to 20. So that'll be a big relief for the Geelong Cats to get over the line. I think that was one that it was just one of those close games that they'll be very, very happy to have won. I'm just going to try and get up the fixture for next week for these two games. Of course, next Thursday night football, we got Fremantle is taking on Collingwood over there in Optus Stadium in Perth. That should be a fantastic game over there as well. A home game for Perth. Pies will travel. Should be very interesting. Geelong Cats, of course, is going to be a ripper game next week. Next Sunday week, Geelong play a home game at GMHBA Stadium. They take on the GWS Giants. Of course, the Giants aren't in that great a form. We'll see tomorrow when they play. I think it's the Battle of the Bridge with Sydney. Who's going to win that one? But it should be a fascinating game for Geelong again. I think Geelong's probably expected to win that game. All right, let's just head back a little bit to down to the commentators. Oh, we didn't. We having a look at the poll. We got the poll wrong tonight, folks. To tell you what, it was close. 68% went for the Pies. 32% went for the Cats. 71 votes. We nearly got it right. All right, folks, that's all from me. I'll just take us back down to Mark Blixars, who's been interviewed before we wrap this one up.
So, yeah, no, I'm feeling good. I'm feeling really fit in my body, and I'm running out games well. And yeah, these games are great to be a part of. And yeah, it's another great battle between us and the Pies.
Another addition to your football club who is also running out the game nicely, as we see him on screen here, is Bailey Smith. He's had another massive impact tonight. 34 disposals, over 700 metres gained. He just gives you a different dynamic, doesn't he?
He does. He's quick feet. He's lightning with his decision making too. So he gets a lot of the ball, and he with the metres gained, he already has made his decision before he gets the ball. So he's a really smart player, and we've had a few big games over the last 3 or 4 weeks at the G and the gather round, and he loves these moments, and he loves playing in front of the big crowd, and he really gets us up. So it's yeah, he's gone really well, and we're loving having him.
Yeah, Blitz, I'm not trying to get you in trouble.
There we go.
So don't talk about specifics, but just can you feel when the umpires are favouring you and things are falling your way? Did you feel it tonight in that last 10 or 15 minutes?
Not really, to be honest. The game's pretty hot and there's whistles going on all the time, and yeah, I just try and get on with it. So I just look at whatever way the umpire points and I run the opposite direction. So yeah, some games the ball bounces for us, some days decisions go our way, but yeah, I sort of haven't thought about too much the whole last quarter or so. But
smiling, you're smiling a lot, Blitz.
Was it the ball last time? I'm not sure.
Can we ask you about one specific moment? What was your initial reaction, your gut feel, when Bobby Hill looked like he had a chase down tackle of the year?
Yeah, I thought I was on the flat side pushing forward. So yeah, that was an unbelievable chase down. But to be honest, I didn't see where he grabbed him and what the ruling is. But yeah, it's one that, oh, here we go. He's come down. So yeah, it looks like he's got his hips and he's slid down. I don't know. I'm not an umpire, so I don't know what the ruling is and what they're looking at. But he's paid it our way and we'll take it.
I'll save you here, Mark. We'll stop with the umpiring questions. Tell us, just go back to the Jack Chris moment. You told us that you said, oh no, when you saw him take the mark, but what were you thinking when he was lining up for goal? Who were you standing alongside? What were conversations like amongst your Geelong teammates?
No, was on the far wing by myself, thinking of what a mistake I've made, and if he kicks it, I'm retiring. That was my thoughts. What he's done is unbelievable. To influence games for, is it 245 games he's breaking now? It's it's unbelievable, and he's an unbelievable kick. So it was probably at that distance where he had to put a bit more effort into it. Hence he's hooked it. But if I thought you'd want someone kicking for goal after the game, it would be him.
Well, can I ask you too? Sorry, Blitz. Were you on the line with the Schultz goal review? And were you able to? Can you take us through that moment? Were you able to touch it?
Did you touch it or not?
That was one I touched. Yeah. Honestly, I touched it, and then I'm looking at the replay, and I'm like, that looks like I haven't touched it. So we were lucky that I think the umpire called it touch going into review, so it's inconclusive, so it goes our way. But again, that could have been called a goal and inconclusive.
You promise? You promise, Mark?
He looks an honest man.
Promise, yeah. But it's amazing. I was like, yeah, that's touch set up, and then you look at the replay, and it's amazing how much it doesn't really look like it. So,
As a backman, I would have trusted him. As a ruckman, I'm not so sure.
No, we love your honesty, and we also love the fact that you haven't retired tonight and you will be playing on. So thanks, Mark, and enjoy this win. Unbelievable game. Thanks for putting on a show.
Thanks very much. Appreciate it.
What a great chat.
He's a ripper.
So we had the confirmation that he touched it, but also just his honesty with all his reactions when Chris took the mark, when Chris was lining up for goal. He's a beauty.
I think we're seeing the culture too really come to the fore again for Geelong, because they've backed in Bailey Smith over the middle finger gestures over the past couple of weeks, really thrown their arms around him, and he's repaid them on the field tonight. I mean, as you said it, Jack, the run has been one of the major differences for the Cats tonight, and a winning edge, but it has been a bumpy couple of weeks for Bailey Smith and the Cats, and Chris Scott really went into battle for him clearly.
Yeah, I love Mark Blitzars as well. I see Gary Appler down in the rooms there with some former teammates, and he is the Swiss Army knife of this football club. Reece Stanley gets injured halfway through that second quarter, and I mean, he really is their only bona fide ruck, Reece Stanley, but this bloke, you can put him anywhere. He has so much value. But
favourite, wouldn't he?
I think he's that sort of that ripcord in terms of, all right, we need you to go down back, we need you to play on the wing, but I reckon there's so many players learning off Mark Blitzars.
We needed a game like this, let's be fair. I mean, 90 points to 87, it had everything. It had moments right throughout that fourth quarter. You know, I thought Collingwood were dominant for the first two quarters and probably didn't get full bang for buck on the scoreboard, but that last quarter is our great game at its very best.
It felt like a lot of the time during the match that Collingwood should be up by more.
Yeah.
And the fact that the Cats just hung in there and then did what they did in the final term, Jay.
What are you seeing from Ollie Dempsey, Kingy? Because you stood here and you said Ollie Dempsey's going to win this game for Geelong. Next minute, another towering mark in the square. What are you seeing from the wing forward? Because it feels like that's really getting a jump on the opposition.
Yeah, well, we put it on notice on First Crack a couple of weeks ago that he's a wingman that slides forward aggressively and becomes a full forward. Because he knows the craft. He uses his body so well. He's great above his head. He can sit on shoulders. He can crumb. He can do it all. So when he takes the opposition wingman to the goal square, you're in trouble. He's taking you to the deep water, and most opposition wingmen, they can't handle it. I think you need to put a full back type or a key position player on him when he gets in that position. He's kicked 14 goals for the year, 8 of them from the goal square. So this is a massive weapon that Chris Scott is using perfectly.
So if I pose the question to you right now, the wing is a really interesting spot in the All-Australian team. Is he doing enough to be an All-Australian wingman? I mean, 14 goals from the wing, and I'm not sure how many from the goal square, because that's where there's 8 from the goal square. He's sort of changing the role of the wingman, isn't he?
He is, but they'll put a midfielder on the wing because the numbers, you can't argue with the midfield numbers. And in the end, you just get done for sheer volume. But if you're looking for someone who can win you a game in a moment, Ollie Dempsey is someone you should be thinking about. So Chris gets taken to the square, outmarked, and then flips the script and has the opportunity at the other end. It was a remarkable finish. You just hope for the story that he kicked it, but not to be.
We have to talk more about this man behind Mark Blitzars, and that is the captain, Patrick Dangerfield. He is our Ashley and Martin turning point, because what he did in the final quarter completely changed the game, and is the big reason why Geelong will win this tonight.
Now, I've heard a lot of people talk about Lee Matthews, and when he finished his career as a midfielder at full forward, he was a revelation. Now, everyone says to me, no, you can't compare Lee to anyone. And I can't, because I didn't see Lee. But when you watch this guy, he operates with such power. He breaks tackles, he sets up goals. He's a clearance winner inside forward 50 stoppages, like 13 touches in the last quarter. 5 of those become scores. Put that into context of where they were, Jack. Halfway through the last quarter, they were nowhere. They were gone. And this guy says, hey, come with me.
It is pure leadership in terms of football. Like, he drags Geelong over the line, and it's been time and time and time again for Patrick Dangerfield that he just gets the job done. I love the fact they're playing him forward now. For someone like him with his brutality, is that he just gets from contest to contest. He pulls the ball out of packs that you think, oh, well, that's definitely going to be a ball up. But all of a sudden, Dangerfield emerges with the ball and just creates these opportunities out of nothing, really.
And potentially history in the making here. So what has he got, 8 All-Australian Blazers?
I was just about to ask that. Is it 8?
Yes, and no one's got 9, I'm sure. So he could become the most All-Australian player.
He's in the FaceTime there with a few mates.
Of all time, he had 29 possessions tonight. You'd expect him to be in the votes.
When he started his career, we didn't have FaceTime. It was that long ago when he started. But what about the young guys that are playing with him? I just can't help but feel guys like Manor, who's only played, 16 games of footy, O'Sullivan, Humphreys, Clark. They're seeing what this guy does to influence games. It's got to be worth. I mean, this game tonight, it's not one home and away game. To play in that atmosphere and that pressure cooker, make the right decision at the right time, get it wrong, you leak a goal. I just think that's worth 20 games what they played tonight.
On tape as well, that's the other thing, is that Chris Scott will be able to go to town on Collingwood and actually plan again. These two sides you think would be at the pointy end come September. I mean, we had September like atmosphere tonight, 88,000 or whatever in the MCG, and was absolutely rocking. And I think Geelong come away from this going, they've proven themselves after a little glitch last week in terms of that, but I think this week they've just come out and shown why they are in most people's top 4.
That centre bounce clearance with about 7 minutes to go, I think, where Max Holmes just completely exploded, delivered it to Danger. You just go, wow, that's why they're definitely going to be there, but they should be there come September. Let's relive this crazy finish again, shall we? If you're just tuning in and you're going, what happened here? 3-point win. It was so much more than that. The drama tonight, the milestone man. So this was about 7 seconds left to go on the clock, and Collingwood just do what they do best. About 7 from here.
Yeah, this is smart from Darcy Cameron. He just stands off, puts us in. He has to try and get the ball out. Collingwood want to get it for him, and the snap forward.
Now, I don't know if we can show that again in a moment, but it's the fact that all the other Collingwood players sit off. So it's a genuine one-on-one. So if you don't dispose the ball, it's going to be a free kick. Often you see teammates rush in and it becomes a gang tackle and the umpire then balls the ball up. So I love the smarts that Steele Sidebottom was there. He's holding his hands up saying, pay the free kick, pay the free kick. So this is what they do. They train this week in, week out, session in, session out. This is why they are so good at the death, Collingwood. It didn't go their way through one errant shot at goal, but gee, they gave themselves a chance.
Well, what did you make of the Dacos move in the middle to actually come outside of that stoppage? So the final centre bounce, Dacos pulls himself all the way to centre forward.
Hang on, stop. We don't want to hear from you right now. Right. We want to hear from the man, Jack Crisp, who has been so good enough to join us following this unbelievable match at a night where he just made history and breaking Jim Stein's record, of course. Jack, thanks so much for joining us. I mean, firstly, just what on earth is going through your mind? It's been a roller coaster kind of night.
Yeah, thanks, Amy. A lot's going through my mind. I was feeling pretty happy and content, confident in my ability to kick the goal at the end there, but it wasn't to be. But, after an emotional week, I guess, feeling the love from everybody outside of football, to finally finish the game out. Pretty exhausted, but it would have been good to get the win. But, credit to Geelong. What was going through your mind when you were lining up for goal? What were you telling yourself? Well, I had lots of blokes talk to me about this is what dreams are made of, I guess, and then it was just about routine. We practice these scenarios and set shots that often throughout the week. Here we go. I watch myself miss it and feel sad again. Oh, sorry. No, it's all right. I got the distance easy, but it's just about accuracy. So, I'll go recover now, and we don't quick turnaround. We've got a 5-day break into Freo.
You're the ultimate endurance athlete, really. 245 games. Congratulations. Crispy, how were your legs? How much petrol did you have left in the tank as you lined up from 50?
Yeah, good question. Pretty gassed, to be fair. Geelong wingers like to run, deep forward and deep back, especially with Ollie Dempsey. I was caught down back there with him a couple of times. But yeah, I was pretty gassed. Had to match Jeremy Cameron, who was rolling around as that extra defender there. Yeah, the ball fell on my lap. That was my moment. And yeah, it wasn't to be.
Well, Jack, congratulations on obviously breaking the record tonight. Commiserations with the end of the result. I want to talk about after the kick, and every single player got to you on the ground, and nearly all of the Geelong players got to you as well. Is that what Collingwood is about? Win, lose or draw, you can just see that sense of team?
Yeah, exactly. We feel like we've built a really good culture like that. We like to celebrate what happens on the field, if we win or lose, celebrate people, what they're achieving in their milestones as well. But I definitely felt a lot of love, everyone getting around me, especially Geelong players as well. It did mean a lot. Nearly brought a tear to my eye, to be fair. It was just a special moment. And then having my wife and kids run on the oval as well was pretty cool.
Jack, that was one of the great games. It really was. Best game of the year by an absolute mile. There are the kids just charging out. They don't really know what's going on, which is terrific at some stages, Jack. Yeah. It's just great to see them.
They just love you regardless.
Yeah, absolutely. And I just want to celebrate the game for a moment, because with 7 minutes to go, you're 17 points down. It's effectively over. You just don't come back and win these sorts of games against quality opposition. What happens at Collingwood in that moment? Why does the flick? How does the switch get flicked? What happens?
Well, we have different types of game plans, I guess, that we go to in different scenarios. And that called for us to kind of get a bit more speed on the ball, you could say, a bit more flow, because we're probably a bit stagnant in Geelong. We're putting the pressure on us. But yeah, we were able to get the ball in our forward half firstly, and then I think we were able to bring a contest, and then Bree Mychek stood tall, a couple of strong contested marks, and really obviously put us back in the game.
Hey, one thing we were talking about really quickly was the ability. Nick Dacos actually went forward at that last stoppage and created a 2v3. Is that a planned tactic, or is that something that the mids just came up with late?
To be honest, it could have just been something the mids come up with. We have a lot of blokes that can go through the midfield, especially in those scenarios as well. If we do want some speed on the ball going forward, create a bit of chaos, I guess, put the opposition in their different mind where they don't know what's going on. So, it kind of paid off for us.
Jack, you have been so good to join us following tonight. Congratulations once again on such an outstanding milestone this evening, and we look forward to seeing you in, game 2, 4, 6 consecutive next week.
Thank you. Thanks for having me, guys. Have a good night.
Well done.
What a warrior handstand brigade happening behind there as well.
That's a big effort, that. Full respect for that. He's just gone through hell as a footballer, and then had the opportunity to win his team the game. He's had a big build-up to this occasion. It's been all about him. He would have thought, this is a dream. And to have that ripped out from underneath him, that's a big effort to come on and discuss the way he has.
100%, and us showing the replays and him talking through that.
Well, I think it speaks volumes about where Collingwood are at. Now, the result hasn't gone their way tonight, but knowing Craig McRae, in my time from Richmond with him, he would be looking at the positive light on this and going, well, you know what, we didn't win the battle tonight, but they would find a few things out to potentially win the war. And that's what good coaches do. They look at this and go, the scoreboard is the scoreboard, and that could have gone either way, clearly, with that last kick. But there will be plenty of good signs for Craig McRae and Collingwood out of tonight.
One man they'd love to get a lift from is Jordan De Goey, playing largely forward. I think it feels like he's been stuck in second gear. I think 9 possessions tonight, not having a big impact. Do you see any change there for him, or why do you think it's just drifting a little bit in this season?
I just got to get some footy into him. He just needs a bit of continuity. It's tough. Get good opposition. Game like this, a hot game, you're not expecting him to get too much. I mean, apart from the Dacos boys who got just over 30 or around 30 touches, there was no easy possessions out there tonight. No junk up for grabs at all. So I just think he's a victim of the standard of the game, really.
So who would you rather be? I mean, it was a game which could have gone either way. Who would you rather be heading into September? Yeah, long-term Collingwood or Geelong?
Probably Geelong. Well, you pick your poison. I think the Collingwood fans will feel like the umpiring had a huge impact on the game, and I concur. So I'm 50-50. I mean, if you're playing at the MCG, Collingwood are hard to beat here, but gee, the Cats, with Dangerfield playing like he is, they're hard not to fall in love with.
I think Collingwood, for me, if they can stay injury-free over the back part of this season, they're only going to get better. They're so experienced in every single line, is that you see tonight, they give themselves a chance to win the unwinnable, and they just constantly turn up. So for me, when big finals roll around and they're played here at the MCG, we know Collingwood play it well. I'm liking Collingwood.
We'll hear from Chris Scott shortly, but they expect to get Tom Stewart back to bolster that defence for that clash against GWS on Sunday. A huge in.
Who would you rather be? You watch footy more than
Gee, I mean, they're two heavyweight contenders, aren't they? Got the Cats just ahead. I mean, after disappointing a loss last week, to respond in the manner that they did after losing the ruckman Reece Stanley, be out for 3 or 4 weeks, they almost got better as he went to the bench. But I think to respond after that disappointing first half, I mean, there's a quality side, and they'll be right there at the pointy end again.
So we witnessed one of the most unbelievable games here at the MCG. It was looking like another brilliant game over in the West too, with the Eagles leading the Demons at one point, but Melbourne, well, they pulled away. They secured the 4 points, and let's head to Optus Stadium now because Matthew Pavlich and Will Schofield are alongside Melbourne's Christian Petrarca.
Oh yes, here is one of the stars of the night, Christian.
All right, folks, there we go. Thanks, Liam. That's where I'm going to end this one off tonight. There we go. The Cats just got up over the top. Over the Magpies by 3 points. Another fascinating game. At least it was a close game, good game. You know, even they said there the umpires had a big impact on this game. But still, they had a chance on the last kick of the boot to do it and just couldn't quite kick it straight enough. Normally, you'd back him in. To kick that goal, but couldn't quite get it done. So there we go. Don't forget footy on tomorrow. I might only be able to get one of these games done tomorrow. Of course, tomorrow, Sydney versus the Giants. That's going to be a cracking game. Then we've got Hawthorn taking on Richmond. And then the final game to round out round 8. Brisbane Lions taking on the Gold Coast Suns up there at the Gabba. That's going to be a cracking game also. Let's go for the Gold Coast Suns. Tell you what, there's some exciting footy happening tomorrow. We'll win next week. Yeah, look, all going well, we will. All going well. It just depends what Freo comes to play. But, yeah, the way Freo have been playing, we would hope we would get the job done there and then. It's a strange game with Carlton, given the Cats a spanking last week, and then Carlton today copping a flogging from Adelaide, and then, of course, the Cats getting up tonight. But that is football. That's why we like it. Anything's possible. Anyone can win on any given day. AFL footy. You got to love it. Win or lose, that's the game. That's the nature of the game. All right, folks, that's me. I am over now. Thanks, Liam. Thanks, everyone who came in. Thanks for the 2,000 people that came in to listen to the game today. Fantastic. And we hope to see you back here tomorrow night. Hopefully I'll be able to get back. I think I'm popping on out tomorrow afternoon. Hopefully I'll be back for the last game of the round, the Brisbane Gold Coast Suns game. That should be a ripper. Should be a classic game, I think. Most people would probably expect Brisbane to win, but I'll tell you what, Gold Coast, well, if they can they don't really have to travel, but I wish they'd be playing up there at People's First Stadium on their home ground, because they do play that one really well. Let's see how they go playing at the Gabba. Should be a good game. It's going to be interesting. That's going to be an interesting game like this one tonight. So I think tomorrow we're going to have at least 2 tight games on the agenda. Sydney and the Giants, and of course Brisbane and the Gold Coast should be 2 tight games. Hawthorn might put away Richmond. You just never know, though. That's always a fascinating game too. All right, that's me. I'm over now. Thanks, everyone. Thanks, Liam. Thanks, everyone who came in for all 3 matches today. So all I'll say is ciao for now. We'll see you at the next game.